code, I guess.
You just gotta put in the right code. It's that simple.
It's just that easy, boys. Oh, all right. Well, welcome everybody. We're doing a little pre-game show to kind of kick off Season 2 for the Reap Smite League. This is Dinosaur joined by Lucio Horde and Ruler of Men.
How's it going, everybody? Let's see what we got going on here. Got a couple of changes from Season 1. We've actually split into 2 divisions. More learning league, bronze and silver, as well as an upper league with gold and platinum members. Tonight our game is going to be in that upper division.
Yeah,
with
it's
Janitors versus We Need Wards.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good game too. I think these are going to be 2 fairly evenly matched teams, but you never know. On paper, it doesn't always work out the same as in practice.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't really have everything on paper works out, and when you're in game, everything kind of changes. Things that look like they're even in paper turn into stomps in the game, and vice versa.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody's favorite commentary word. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm certainly guilty of that. It's just a good filler word. It works.
It's funny because I know I'm not supposed to use it, but I want to use it. It's so
but
tempting.
It's better than just saying yeah,
Absolutely. So yeah, Season 2 kicking off. It'll be interesting. Last season, Atrocity pretty much sweep the league, I guess. They did a very good job.
You could definitely say that.
I know Skipper would.
Oh, absolutely. He sure is confident.
But I think now bringing in a lot of new players and a lot of new teams, and that could definitely change things up. And we now split the leagues into 2 divisions. So that should bring a little bit more competitiveness to each side.
Absolutely. And I would say that God damn. No. But yeah, it's definitely going to be more competitive, especially for the more established teams, because the newer players can look back at our old videos and kind of see what we do, and we don't have any idea what they do. We don't know really what they play, their play style. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see what these new players can do.
Yeah, I mean, to me, everybody's a new player, being new here on the casting desk and new in the league in general. So I get to look at everything with fresh eyes.
Yeah, that is true. Lucio joining us here for the first time. And I guess before you even play a game or anything, you're here on the casting desk with us. Glad to have you. And anybody who wants to cast, if you want to cast, just message me. Or if you want to spectate and be my best friend ever, also just message me.
We are always looking for more casters. So.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, dude.
Don't do it to me.
Oh.
It's just a good word. It
just start saying I agree.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Completely.
One of my co-casters says 100%.
100%.
100%.
Yo, we're already up to 15 viewers, so we ain't even doing anything yet. This is nice.
Yeah, we're just babbling here.
We're just having some fun.
Yeah. So, funnily enough, I think we've pretty much covered all the major changes going on in the league. There is going to be promotion relegation at the end of the season. I'm not sure if the league has announced how exactly that'll work, but
they have not.
Have not. Oh, I gotta get on Jay about that. So that was
I mean, I'm assuming that the top couple teams of the bottom league and the bottom couple teams on the top league will maybe do a tournament to see where
kind of where we're landing. Yeah, somewhere along those lines. So the problem is that we only have 6 teams in each division, so it's like I wanted to do the top 3 and bottom 3, and it just didn't make sense. So
I think maybe 2 each could be.
Yeah.
All right. So 2 each in a divisions of 6. Definitely promotion should be promotion of 1, relegation of 1. I think, because I don't think the league is. I don't think the divisions are big enough Because usually 8 you do 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that'll be cool because that'll keep the teams fresh. It'll give the lower team something to work towards, and also the upper team so that they keep their position and don't slack off too much.
Nobody wants to get demoted. That's for certain.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be obey right now.
Oh, gee. Look, the only place
I can't even follow SPL anymore.
The only place they can go is up, though.
Yeah. Like Mifflin, no, they can go right back. They can give another team a spot in the SPL here.
Look, here's the thing, dude. Right? They're not in last place anymore. E United is in last place, which is insane to me.
Yeah, definitely E United hasn't really showed up. I mean, to be fair, E United's almost a new team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of tough. It's kind of both Obey and E United probably out of all the teams are like the most that have been shaken around. But they also needed to shake around, which is kind of the deal.
Sure. Yeah, I have to change some information here, so you guys go ahead and chat whatever you want about.
So what do you think is going to be the meta here, Ruler, since you will be definitely our chair 2 here, haven't been in the league for a lot longer than I, so I'll be doing that play-by-play stuff. But so to pass it over to you, what do you think is going to be like the top meta? You think it's going to reflect the SPL, or are we going to go something completely different? Like we're going to start seeing Loki mid?
I mean, I don't think we're going to see super outlandish things like Loki mid. I do think it's going to be a decent amount different than SPL,
Hold up.
These just aren't.
Where's Tobias playing? Is he playing mid? Because in that case, we might see.
I believe he is in mid there. If he's playing mid, there's a very good chance that we will see Loki mid.
Yeah.
But that's Tobias. That's not the whole league. Hopefully, yeah, he is mid. That's gonna be fun to watch, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, I don't think it'll be quite FPL drafting, so to speak. I mean, they're less experienced players. They have smaller god pools. They might not be able to play those top tier gods comfortably.
Yeah, definitely one of those things. I'm gonna be interested to see because the 3 that come to my mind is, are they gonna let Persephone, Cthulhu, and Yemoja through? Because all of those SPL heavy gods, really high skill level, high ceiling in terms of potential. But again, that high skill level, I wonder they're gonna let that through, and the team's actually gonna learn that pick and just run with it.
I mean, I know for last season, Cthulhu, Persephone, and Yemoja were banned just about every game. They're solid.
I expect them to kind of sneak through, though, to be honest. I think that in a league like this, generally want to be focusing on more comfort picks per each player, because not many players that are at this level are going to be able to take full use. Not that, let's be honest, not that Persephone needs you to be playing her at 100% efficiency at this level. Her ult's pretty much good enough to carry her through. But, you got to look out for like Noah's Wheelish or something like that, and that's something you might consider.
Don, Scylla.
Yeah,
things like that. Just gods that some people are really good on, but being a new season and all with new players, we don't know everybody's comfort picks yet. So
yeah, that's kind of the fun thing with this league too.
Standard bans.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun thing with this league, though, right? Is that you're not going to see the same bog standard bans every single game. You're not going to see the same picks every single game as you might in a higher tier league, because a lot more is viable here. You don't have to be playing the most efficient. You can get away with playing Artemis here. Could you imagine if they played Artemis in the SBL? It never happened because she's garbage.
Barracuda would be happy.
New Artemis buff is she's all right.
No, dude,
she's not as bad as she used to be. I mean, she's a mobile
dude,
but that ult is strong.
That ult is strong. She's definitely not the lowest tier ADC, I would say. I think there's a time and a place for her.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like in this league, that ult is good enough in a team battle that if you can work around it as a team, it could be very, very dangerous. Whereas in like an upper league, they might be able to know how to counter that play a little bit better. And that's why you see, I mean, right now Arachne is super good at any level at this point. But last season we saw, before she got all the buffs and stuff, like, Skills was pulling out the Arachne and fragging on her pretty good. So I think that's kind of one of the fun things about watching these matches, is you never quite know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's going to be one of those interesting things to see a higher god pool variety. I mean, So I know you guys are talking about like in season 1, there's like some standout gods for certain players, but like, do you think that's going to change now that we're in season 2? Some of these players I know are playing different roles. I know that the meta changes, or maybe certain teams, like maybe you're talking about the Scylla, right? Now the teams that played against that Scylla know how to play against the Scylla. So do you think that that's actually going to change, or you think they're going to stick to their prime comfort pick from season 1? You think that's going to carry over?
I know that Scylla is still scary. It is still waiting to be unbanned. For other ones, I can't quite say. I mean, there's a lot of people that are very good on some gods that are still in their same role, so I expect definitely some comfort picks when they're left open.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. A lot of players did change roles. Like I mentioned Skills before. He's not playing jungle anymore. He's on a team of 5 junglers. So we'll see how that works out. There.
Dr. Phil.
Good old Dr. Phil. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens across the league. Seeing players in new roles. I know I played with Big Donkey. He's a solo main and he was playing mid for us, but now he's back to solo, so I'm excited to see what he can whip out. I mean, that's kind of the fun thing with this new season is the teams are completely different. Minus a few, obviously, Atrocity.
Not it.
And Atrocity and basically most of Synergy, which is now Mode Max, I believe is what they changed their name
Max
to.
mode.
Max, yeah.
They swapped their jungle to carry and got a new jungle, so
yeah.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that new jungle.
New good play jungler there.
Be interesting. I want to see how Sausage does in the carry role. Because I gotta tell you, playing the carry role is not so easy in this league. There are definitely some teams that are ready to punish you for being one tiny unit off of your positioning. Or like
Yeah,
I mean,
like
one
30.
word, I'm coming.
I mean, that's definitely one of the season. This part of the season right now is that junglers are so good, and being an ADC, because I'm an ADC main for my team, and I've been an ADC main for the entirety of this season. And it's just junglers will punish you. Like as soon as you step out, and the jungles that can punish you in this meta will punish you hard, and there's no way to get away from them. Arachne, Nemesis, both of those gods will follow you to the ends of the earth if they have to.
Gods with slows, man. And then on top of that, in the carry role, Freya is like arguably the best carry to play right now. And she
just got nerfed today.
Did she? She just got nerfed?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She did in the bonus patch.
Ooh, we'll see how that works. But I was gonna say, a little bit, right? She doesn't have much of an escape, and then you got an Arachne on top of you, and it's like, although once you make it to the late game as Freya, you basically had won. Well, we'll see how the patch changes will take effect onto that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean she's still very strong. She has that weak super early game before she gets that ring and the Typhons online, but after that she pretty much 2v1s just about anybody. So definitely if you see a Freya, you kind of gotta focus her down early.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely like Freya. I don't think she's gonna fall too much out in this meta, but we're gonna go straight into this game now.
Yeah, we are in, boys. Switch over.
Let me make sure I know who's on what team.
There it is.
Oh, and we already got some bands going.
And we got the standard ones. You got Persephone, Cthulhu, and then you have Hercules band, which kind of makes sense. He's always teetering on that like maybe worthy of a ban, maybe not. And then Heimdallr.
Yeah, Heim is still a pretty strong ADC. I mean, he kind of suffers the same way Freya does. He doesn't have the greatest of escapes. Yeah, Heim is still pretty.
That's one of those.
The Olorun ban.
The Olorun, that's interesting over Freya.
I mean, he definitely does have the better late game ult. That huge AoE team fight. Let's just kill these people right here, right now. Ult, so that's understandable. And we see the Thor ban, not looking for the hammer to the face. Understandable. Very mobile. Just out of nowhere, do 80% of your health.
Yeah, definitely Thor, one of those guys that if somebody knows how to properly wield Mjolnir, it's all over.
And we see the Ganesh, very standard pick from season 1. I mean, he's just an amazing support. He does everything you want. He's got peel, he's got zoning. Just a great god.
Yeah, definitely a strong first pick. Not really a lot of counterplay into him outside of you can build stuff that can burst him down. But again, you really want to burst down a Ganesha, not necessarily the best thing. So we get Jing and Nemesis picked up next.
Now, Nemesis is also pretty strong in this meta now. And Xingtian, also a pretty common selection in Season 1. Can flex into that solo or support. Does both pretty well. Again, with that big old team fight ultimate.
Yeah, Jing can't, and not only that, he has a lot of good passive regeneration due to his passive working out his Smoldering Rage.
And we see the Robin pick up. Robin, pretty middle of the pack assassin, I would say.
Yeah,
Nothing
definitely.
outstanding, but a great comfort pick and easily a mid-tier to higher tier assassin.
I'm not sure if I like the Robin pick until you know what the mid is, because Robin is really a good counter to certain mid choices. Merlin, for example, suffers a lot to a Robin, and so does Raijin. Like, he's really good at diving mid gods that think they're safe, and then he's like, no, you're not. You're not really safe.
Exactly. I mean, you just gotta know what you're looking into, and picking up a jungler early is kinda not the greatest. You do like to have that counterplay.
Yeah, unless it's like a high tier jungle, like of course like Nemesis and stuff like that. Again, it's kind of like you're giving up a lot of priority when you pick a jungler that's not a meta pick early. So we're bouncing out of the game.
It looks
Apparently.
like they had a problem with their picks and bans, and somebody disconnected. So we should get back into it relatively shortly with them redoing those first picks quickly. And yeah, I mean those absolutely amazing junglers you can pick up early because there's not a whole lot of counterplay to them. Nemesis especially, there's nothing that really hard counters her, unlike an Arachne, Kali, Bakasura, where you can just kind of hard counter them with an upgraded shell.
Yeah, and I mean the problem is that when you pick early like that, and you're not picking something that is like an Arachne or a Nemesis or Bakasura, something that's like a higher tier, then what you're saying is you don't have to ban that for your second round of bans. Meanwhile, you could probably entice them to waste bans by banning out that those jungles that you weren't going to play anyway. You're just going to play Robin, but you're going to make everybody else think that you're going to play that Bakasura.
Yep. Especially these mind games and picks and bans have been really important in season 1, at least for my team. We spent a lot of time on picks and bans, so hopefully these guys can kind of build the drafts that they want, force their opponents to maybe pick gods that they don't necessarily want. We see an Izanami pick up. Izanami, not the greatest of hunters, doesn't have a great escape, but she does have that super early game pressure.
Yeah, with the Zing, you're basically guaranteeing that your basics connect on both trips. From there and back, they will be connecting, and so that's actually a lot of damage I can push through really easily.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw a lot of Izanami in season 1, and generally you kind of have to push that first wave very quickly and then try to get some farm, maybe try to invade the red buff, just to get a little extra off of that early game before she starts to fall off.
Yeah, definitely. Her worth late game comes from the fact that she's probably one of the better ADC carries to actually like split push. Because even though her dash isn't really good in a pinch, it's really good at getting her out of a split push. Basically saying, "Hey, look, I'm split pushing. Now I'm gonna dash all this way, and now I'm invis for a little bit, so you can't really catch up to me. So good luck trying to find me. And then now I'm gonna go back and rotate back to my team." So she's really good in that.
Yeah, and we see 4 mage bans from the blue team there. we need wards.
Definitely just don't want to give them their mid what they want. And I mean, it makes sense. Like, you're not really banning out too much in the solo. Amo is already banned out by Janitors here, so there's nothing else really to ban in that solo lane that's really ban worthy as opposed to something that's a mid.
Yeah, I mean, Thoth isn't in the greatest of spots right now, so I maybe could have seen a different ban there. Like, I know Sun Wukong is one of the most annoying gods to fight in solo right now.
That is true. The 72 transformations right into your face, and then, he goes, Master's Will to slow. And then when as soon as you think you have the edge on him, he's like, Somersault Clouds, I'm out. Adios. But the Bologna pick here in solo, Bologna, talking about gods that aren't really like in the meta right now or super, super strong, Bologna here, not really something that you would see very much in the solo lane, because I think essentially there are gods that do what she does, but slightly better. Like, you have Mulan for the versatility in your kit. And as far as the ultimate goes, you just get a better Guardian.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is that I believe Consanity on the blue team really liked the Bologna in the first season, so I think he took that just to take it away from him, so he would have to rely on a different pick.
And that's a good way of like trying to force out. But now they get a Vamon. In my opinion, Vamon's way stronger in a lot of instances, especially when he gets to use Colossal Fury in response to Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, and now in response to Agni Bombs too, because Agni won't be able to stun a Vamon just walking up.
Yeah, I mean, these are two very strong drafts. You've got kind of similar supports, good at zoning those big team fight ultimates. I would say Merlin maybe has the edge in the mid. Merlin, Villa strong, has those stance switches, can throw out a ton of area damage to protect objectives, towers, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, just looking at, I know that you said they're kind of even, but just looking at them, do you lean one way or another based off of the draft alone?
I mean, I like blue team's draft. I do. It's a great draft in my opinion. I think just about every single role they have is better, apart from maybe the Robin into Nemesis.
I agree. I think Jingwei, really good hyper carry. So the only thing I'm worried about on the blue side here is that if Red can push the tempo early and win before 20 minutes, I think they win the game. I think they need to win before 20 minutes because Izzy can melt a Ganesh and can melt Jing pre-level 10. She's gonna do it. Then Agni can really kind of try to force out Merlin, put Merlin in bad spots, and Nemesis can pick off the Merlin with a nice stun combo. And then Bologna, not necessarily going to win the Vamon fight, I don't think, but also not going to just fall over and be like, oh, well, that's it.
Yeah, definitely not a pushover in that early game. You get a little bit of sustain on her, and she's a great god. However, there's no more Berserker Shield as they changed it, so it doesn't give her the free sustain that it used to. So that'll be interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if she goes like maybe a Son of Gaia or a Soul Eater, depending on how aggressive she wants to be. Like, still, Son of Gaia, you get the proc off of the knockup. Not only that, does give you a lot of good sustain. And you're going to get the proc out of a clear the path from Vamon. And then Soul Eater, if she wants to go a little bit more aggressive, because she is going to be doing like a good amount of damage out of those abilities, and that's what she wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the early Stone of Gaia. There's the Jingwei knockup, the Merlin pull, the Vamana knockup. And Vamana probably just going to start that physical defense. It's a no-brainer. It gives them that extra power. And its defense, it's super strong in that solo lane.
Yeah, it's super strong. The only problem with then at that point, you're saying, I want to win the early game because you want to rotate out as soon as you can in the solo lane. Like, that's how you win the solo lane, in my opinion, is you always try to either bully the person out so that you can rotate out, or you get strong enough that you can proxy the wave and not care that your enemy solo laner is still in lane because you can just back out. You can just be like, oh, well, you can't push tower without a wave, so good luck.
Yep. And I mean, I think it's really going to come down to the early game jungling. I mean, Vamana into Bologna, that's not a terrible matchup for either of them. I think Vamana wins it just a little bit, but not enough to really get momentum. So I think we're going to have to see some good ganks from the Nemesis. Or the Robin, either way.
So we're just going to load in here now. We are going to go ahead and start. Now that Spectator has given them a little bit of time so that we're just not stream sniping here at the desk. So yeah, we're just going to wait until they load in so that we can talk about items, talk about first builds, talk about maybe that level 1 game right there.
Looks like we are starting to get builds online. See the super standard start from the Robin. Little interesting on the Vamana, opting to get the Chalice and the multi-pots instead of a tier 1 item.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely gives him a lot of sustain in that lane, lets him kind of stick it out, even though he's not going to be doing damage. So at that point, I think what he's trying to do is stall, which is a good idea for that team, because as we talked about, if they can stall out the game post 20 minutes, assuming all players are equal, they win. Just based off of their draft alone, they just win the game. Merlin scales a little bit better than Agni in the late game. Jing scales better than Izanami for sure. Ganesh is always going to be relevant. Jing's going to be kind of mitigated by bead pickups, now that only Merlin picks up. No, Merlin and Jing picks up beads. It's just that they tricked me out.
Yeah, I got the reversed little things. The only other difference I'm seeing is the Merlin opting to go for mana pots instead of multi-pots, as well as the Ganesh getting health pots instead of multi-pots. So he might have a little bit of struggles with mana.
But I like this. That's a little bit higher level in terms of like really what you need to see as a support is, hey, my health is more of a resource than my mana is at that point, at this early stage of the game. Like, because really, who's going to be putting out the damage early game should be your ADC with the basics.
I mean, Guardians do have some great early ability damage, so it is nice to see them be able to clear the wave, especially with Ganesh's great clear on his 1.
Yeah, absolutely. His Turn of Fate does do that difference.
Ooh, and that's an early solo kill for the Bologna.
That's exactly what Red Team wants to do. They want to push that tempo up as far as they can, and you noticed it. Like, not getting that tier 1 item, I think, kind of screwed over Vermont here.
Yeah, and that's going to get her tier 2, probably Sledge, if I had to guess. I mean, if they're looking for early aggression, though, that could even be a Frostbound. Just to make sure that he can't run away. Definitely. No, it can't be a Frostbound, that's the other tree. So yeah, that'll probably be a Sledge. Bologna just swinging on that Vamana again.
Yeah. Clear the path comes out of Amana. Bologna is going to respawn by disarming him with Scourge. And get some of that health back. There's going to be a little bit of a fight here. Merlin in the ice form. Going to use Blizzard to clear most of that camp.
And we just see that Bologna just taking charge of that lane, you know, getting that totem, getting that first kill, pushing up to his tower, not giving him room.
And now Agni picking up that kill in mid lane as well onto the Merlin. That's actually a really good pickup there too as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd love to see some even more pressure in mid now, considering Agony has 5 and Merlin doesn't really have an ult. He has a stance switch, does just a little bit of damage, but it's not a real ultimate per se.
Yeah, and Agni is probably the ultimate bot 101 right here with his ability to every 18 seconds rain some fire, and he already has three in the pocket most of the time. Now Ganesh looking for some early aggression. Does charge ahead and pop out but Jing a little bit out of the way. Can't really follow up on that
We see
damage.
the
Good
Nemesis looking for the gank. They do have the ward to spot it out. They are retreating. However,
blink
that
from
is
the
a blink
Nemesis.
slow.
Slice and dice will come out. Does connect, but not in the center, so not a lot of damage. Here, they're looking a little bit to back up, and that Ganesh, not enough mana here to really try to fight. Again, what they're looking for here is that stall, so Nemesis instead is going to opt to get this purple buff.
And that's a great call on the Nemesis. You know, she saw that she couldn't get a kill there, and she just took that farm away instead. The Ra then opted to go to those bat camps, and he wasn't able to contest that or attempt a counter gank. I think that could have went a lot differently there.
And good call not to try to counter gank here because he doesn't really have a lot of vision. He knows Nemesis, it won't take her nothing but a split second but to come back. And he's not going to win that 1v1. Now, Rainfire onto this Merlin. Now Slice and Dice will eliminate Merlin for the second time.
And that's just great aggression from that Agni, you know, pushing him back, forcing him to use all his mana, and then he had no way out of there. He didn't even have enough mana to blink out, even if he had it off cooldown.
Now looking Divine Judgment will come down on Vaman. Does knock him down to a quarter health, but he's just gonna get away from Nemesis Swift Vengeance. But Robin is here.
Be rough on that.
Robin does go in with his Mystic Rush. Does not connect, but now looking to kill him. Retribution comes up, but Robin will take that final punch, and down goes the Nemesis.
I mean, we need wards definitely needed that. I mean, that Nemesis did get greedy there, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, knowing that, again, as a jungle, you kind of have to wait and see where the other jungle is before you try to really, how do you say, commit to those invades, especially when you're low health like that. That was, I agree, with a little bit greedy from stuff in that invasion.
I mean, if he had succeeded, though, it would have been a huge payoff. Vamana wouldn't have had any mana, wouldn't have that extra cooldown. Would have been a big deal for the Bologna.
Risk versus reward.
Yeah, he does get to catch up a little bit, so see how that works.
So now we're looking for this Agony. Now Jingchen getting caught out. Jingchen has to go through the Dharmic Pillars. Swift Vengeance will even go through the Dharmic Pillars, not caring for it, being at full health. Ganesh and Jing both looking really, really low. Merlin trying to zone out the Nemesis, that's for sure. Robin will be back here to relieve some of that pressure. And now Nem is going to secure that mid-alpha Harpy there. And now looking for this Jing.
Yeah, looking for the Jing. I mean, Jing is super slippery. I don't know if that's the best person to really waste the resources on.
Definitely doing quite a bit of damage. Does not get the kill, but is able to rotate out. Now Robin is here. Robin will throw out some punches, but does not connect onto the Nemesis. Only connects on that Alpha Harpy. Nemesis floating around still, looking for something. I'm not sure if she's going to get anything here.
I mean, she does have the health to stick around there, and I mean, she's ahead of the Robin rotation-wise. She's been there, and he's just been kind of chasing her around the map.
Now Izzy trying to get a Mystic Rush. Did come out of this Robin, wasn't able to secure the kill, and that's just, you know, I'm not sure what they were what it was that they were thinking in terms of like initiating with the Mystic Rush when the opponent's not at low health, because again, you don't really have that much follow up after that.
Looks like we do have another standoff in mid. And that Agni is just farming like crazy. He's already level 9. He's making sure to get that farm lead on that Merlin.
Nemesis almost caught out here. Does get slowed by Spooky Mars on the Merlin. Does connect with the Vortex as well. Very nicely done. Does catch the Agony. But now Divine Judgment will come down onto Spooky Mars and he will go down. And Nemesis looks like she might just get away with her life.
That was incredible. That was a great play from the Agony getting that stun off there.
Yeah, and Robin being at no mana really did not help the situation in trying to find that kill. But now Sigmund on this Izzy a little bit caught out, but he does juke that Jingwei. But now looking for that knockup, does get the silence. Beads do come out of Jingwei, but Jingwei's fighting into the wave, but does go into the sky to bring down that Izanami, and that was just a close one right there.
Yeah, and it just came down to that relic usage, you know. Izanami just... Unfortunately, the Jingwei had the beads up, and she was able to cleanse that silence from the ult.
Yeah, definitely. That airstrike also just barely right there does get that damage off, but only barely. Nemesis is going to choose to let that Vamon go, knowing that Bellona is not there to support and has to deal with clearing that wave. You know, we were talking earlier about how Bellona had the pressure onto Vamon, but now who has the first tower damage? Vamon gets the first tower damage onto Bellona's tower.
I mean, Bellona also does have a lot more items, so I do think that that'll be a little more effective in the lane, having that sledge and boots done.
It does not seem like Vamon has gone back. Dharmic Pillars does come out to try to catch this Bellona out. Scourge comes out onto the Ganesh, if only just to get some lifesteal back. Jing is here, and he's going to try to make this Ganesh one dead thing. And Bellona does get silenced out here right next to the tower line. And nothing comes out of either one of those rotations except for Vamon and Ganesh being essentially out of mana and out of resources really to defend.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be able to put Bellona just a little bit ahead, you know? She's going to go get that totem. She's going to go get her blue buff. And she's going to be just a little bit ahead of that Vamana.
Now, Nemesis does pull out Divine Retribution, is looking for Spooky Mars here. But instead, they will settle with the Robin as Rain Fire will secure that kill. Now, Agony here, 2-0 and 3. Participation high, kill count high, death count low. So Agony doing a lot of things here for the real Bilbo.
Absolutely. That mid is a very big difference at this point. 2 kills on the Agony versus 3 deaths on the Merlin. And he's certainly growing that lead well. He's positioning well enough to not get called out. And we see another gank on the Jingwei. Not really going to be able to do anything there.
Well, it does bring her mighty low. Jing is coming up from behind. Airstrike's gonna have to come out from the Jing. Ganesh is here. Dharmic Pillars comes out. He does clear obstacles. He does as well. Now Jing is fighting the wave. Does get hit by Turn of Fate.
That was a shell.
Had to pop shell. Don't worry, Spooky Mars is here to send them to the grave. That's for sure. And Robin is now also chasing that Nemesis. Now they're going to turn back onto Izanami. Izanami is going to have to dash out, but there is 3 on her. I don't know if there's that much she can do. She is going to get stunned out here, has to pop beads, is waiting for her dash to come up, I am sure, but I don't know if she's going to get that chance as Robin brings down the final blow.
And that was just a great counter initiation from Janitors there.
That
they
was
just kept chasing down that Jingwei, and they were all able to rotate while she ran, being as slippery as she is. The dash and the ultimate as an escape.
And I think Jing stayed there a little bit too long trying to see if something could happen, seeing if they could still find this Jing. But there was no rotation out of Agony there to really support him. And now that there is still a lead and a significant one between Agony and Merlin, but now Merlin's still getting himself back into the game.
Yeah, and we see a Soul Gem pickup on the Agony Elm. Not too sure how I feel about that. I mean, I don't really play mages, so I don't know how meta it is. I mean, cooldown reduction is nice. A little bit of sustain in lane.
So what you're looking for in that Soul Gem for sure is that extra 30% damage once you get the 4 stacks. And Agony's always going to have 4 stacks because of the way his ultimate works. Ramon does pick up that Bellona deep in tower Agony still picks up another one here in the mid lane, and down goes Spooky Mars, that's for sure. Ganesh, the only one defending this tower, and that tower's at half health. Ravon does rotate back over. Maybe they're still looking for a fight. Jing there, a little bit caught out, but I think they're going to make a Gold Fury call here. Does get a double root.
That's a great call there. I mean, who's there to stop you? The Jingwei's pushed back. The only person that's coming is that Ganesh, but Ganesh isn't really too keen on stealing objectives. He doesn't have the ult up regardless.
Yeah, and I mean, if he did have the ult, I think he had a chance to intercept that Gold Fury pool, especially since there was nobody zoning on the side of Janitors there, which is always a little bit risky, but they did have the ward vision at the time to make sure that if there was going to be a major rotation, they could have either pulled out or counter-initiated on that. Now, there's Vamon getting caught out by this Nemesis. Ganesh is rotating over. Nemesis looking for a blue invade, but there's no blue to invade, so instead looking at that back mid camp. But there is a ward there. Now we're seeing some engagement onto this Bologna. Olm does come out. Dharmic Pillars comes out. Scourge comes out onto Vamon. Thorns comes out. In general, we have another engagement here middle. Divine Judgment comes out onto Robin, forces him to disengage because Agni is here full health, and there's two there with half health. Now, Colossal Fury did come out of this Vamon, and we do get Furious Rage onto Vamon, so he will be taking some tick damage, but that will be a disengage there, I believe. Now, Vamon at half mana and half health. Bologna sitting at full mana but half health. Definitely be interesting to see if they continue a straight-out engagement, or if it's just going to be that solo wet noodle fight that we're so used to seeing.
I mean, I think Bologna at this point has the edge there. I mean, she has a Scourge to get back that health, and Vamana doesn't have the ult anymore.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be careful on this engagement.
To attempt to push him out. Gonna take just a little bit more poke with the Scourge. And she's gonna go secure that totem for the team. Gonna get that mana regen, as well as 125 gold.
So to talk about this early lead that Janitors is having right now, I mean, definitely 3K is nothing to scoff at. And I would imagine most of the gold difference here is going to be between this Agni and this Merlin. But they also need to start transitioning these things into more objectives. Like, they did the good thing in securing the gold, which was really, really nice. But they need to start securing even more objectives. And they got tier 1 tower here on left. So right now, Blue, what they're trying to do here as we need wards is try to stall out that game. Make sure that gold difference and that XP difference doesn't make any difference when it comes to the late game. Here we go. We're picking out Nemesis here. Does use Swift Vengeance to try to get out. Does take half damage. Dharmic Pillar does come out. Retribution comes out in turn. Divine Judgment comes on to Jingwei. Vamon secures the kill on Agni. Bologna will try to get this tower in response. Now blue team's going to disengage off of this left jungle as Izanami has returned.
Yeah, and we just see that Nemesis being able to get out of trouble with that double dash.
Now, I love this call from We Need Wards to do the Pyro, knowing that Bologna had to go behind that tier 1 in order to go back up, and that everybody else was occupied in other sides of the map. Now this target prioritization switched from looking at Nemesis to looking at Jing, knowing that he's a little bit out. This tier 1 does fall to Bologna, though. So now blue needs to find something else to convert into more of a equalizer between the two gold differences.
I mean, at this point, We Need Wards are starting to catch back up just a little bit. You know, they're starting to get to that mid to late game. And that's where their team comp really shines. So I'm expecting to see them to be able to at least contest that next Gold Fury coming up relatively shortly. Getting there, about 3/4 of the way back.
Honestly, We Need Wards could also just forego the Gold Fury and go Fire Giant. They do have a little bit more, in my opinion, shred for these objectives. So I think they could secure Fire Giant around the same time that We Need Wards kind of can. I mean, that Janitors can secure gold. So it's really up to them where they want that ward coverage. And right now, it seems like they have it on the right side of the jungle.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing here is that although they have the name We Need Wards, it looks like they aren't putting them down. They are certainly in need of them.
They definitely do need them. Janitors has definitely put down lots of wards, has a really good ward coverage, and kind of knows where these jungle rotations are going. Speaking of rotations, we're looking at a 3v3 here in mid. Merlin's going to try to secure the red buff, but I assume Nemesis is going to at least say hello. Does come and says hello and says goodbye just as quickly. Now they're bodying up for this primal. But again, instead, we're going to look for an early gank on this to this Merlin. But now Nemesis caught out. Colossal Fury does come out of Amon, does zone out the rest of the team, and they are able to pick up an easy Nemesis. As well as only the person with the only half health will beat that Amon. Spooky Mars still a little less health than the rest of his team, but not necessarily unhealthy. That is for sure.
And it looks like they are going to go fight over this gold curing. Definitely
Agony.
the objective to Gav on the map right now. However, We Need Wards has the lower health bars there, so...
And Robin is gonna back. Like, he doesn't have the mana to really fight. And they are gonna single out this Ganesh here on the right. Now, Bologna is gonna take advantage of Spooky Mars' advanced positioning without his support there. Now his support came in, but it's too little, too late. He's gonna go down in return, as the real Bilbo will pick up that kill.
And that's going to force everybody back, except for the Jingwei that just returned. And that should be a relatively free Gold Fury.
Especially with that ward coverage. Like, they know exactly where this Jing is, and Bologna's going to look for her. Bologna, they're already there, going to scourge her out. That's going to go down for that Primal Fury. Again, like, you hit the nail on the head by saying, where are the wards? Where are the wards for blue side here? For the team aptly named We Need Wards. They just don't, they can't contest these objectives if they can't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, that and they were kind of dancing around, which isn't great for them. They don't really have the comp for that. Now, on the other hand, Janitors has the Agni. That ult is just amazing long-range poke. And I think that's really what sealed the deal on that fight in Gold Fury. He was able to just continue to push them down to that 1/3 to half health, and they just didn't feel comfortable fighting at that point.
So definitely, while We Need Wards has that ward coverage in that right there, right next to that mid tower, that's not where you want your wards, especially 4 of them. Like, you do need to spread them out in that jungle so you have the full, how do you say, scope of the battlefield. You can't just go in. Nemesis looking for slice and dice on the Merlin. Merlin's going to throw out an Eclipse, but not connect with anything.
I mean, this is a very close game at this point, you know. What is it? Just maybe 1,200 gold, somewhere around there. 2,000.
It's a 2,000 gold difference, but the XP difference has basically gone away completely. Like, they have been able to leverage the fact that Izzy is rotating a little bit more, that Jingwei can solo farm a little bit more comfortably. Now looking for this engagement onto the Bologna. Nice comes out of Ganesh. Airstrike doesn't connect with too much, but now Jingwei is melting. Absolutely melting. Colossal Fury's out of this Maman, but they're chasing him down. Nemesis will bring him down. Robin will pick up the Nemesis kill, however. Eclipse comes out onto the backline. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel puts Jing in bad place with barely any help, but does manage to get away after some nice flips.
And that was just a great close fight there. I mean, one thing I would have loved to see is that Izanami just ignoring that fight completely. She was pushing that wave into that tier 2 tower, and I think that, you know, Janitors could have just pulled back off of that fight and said, we don't need to take this, and instead just gotten that tower for free.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like, at this point, when you do have a split pusher kind of like Izanami, you kind of want to leverage that to your advantage. So you want to waste Jingwei's time in mid. You want to waste Merlin's time in mid. You want to waste the entire team in mid. And you just want to kind of force them to get into an engagement that they can't necessarily win unless you make a mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, it's only week 1, you know. A lot of these teams don't have a ton of practice together yet, so I mean they'll certainly refine their strategies later on.
It's definitely something that they can refine through some scrims and stuff. And again, they always get to rewatch this with our commentary, so it's definitely not an offense of, hey, you're a bad player. It's just sometimes you overlook things when you're playing. I do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when my team plays, all of us rewatch the scrim immediately, not the scrim, the game immediately after to kind of see what we did right and what we did wrong. Our coach gives us notes, says, you know, this is what you did right. Here's what you should have done. Here's why they got a lead, all that good stuff. And I just think that looking back on these games is super important. Like, one thing I notice right now is we need wards. Has all of their wards in the same spot. They have 4 deep wards on that right side past that fire giant. I think they just disappeared, but they were 2 right to the right.
No, there's 3 right there. So, like, again, I think you're absolutely correct. Like, you don't need that many wards in that location. You should be also looking elsewhere. But they do get to pick out this Bologna, and they do secure that kill. Dharmic Pillars did come out as well. Colossal Fury is out as well. And what a nice Frostbolt to actually connect there. That was quite a bit of damage. I mean, it was kind of the end of the fight, but still a decent bit of damage to actually kind of say, hey, watch where you step at this point. Now Ganesh looking to this right side, but now Jing is kind of separated, looking at the Nemesis by herself. Does have to pull out airstrike. Spooky Mars does pick up a kill on the Agni there, and that's actually kind of big. They did pressure out a little bit of that tower. But now Izanami looking to rotate around. Izzy will pick up on Spooky Mars. Massive amount of damage. Will secure 2 kills back to back. And now Jing is the only one that's alive. Now, however, I'm not sure if they can push this tower reliably. I think they have to back away.
You know, they get 1 lucky crit from that Jingwei and they're dead. So I really do think they need to back. However, Nemesis is going to go over there and tank the Gold Fury while they take it. And I think that's a great play. She has
that's a great call. They have a
shield.
And they have the girdle. That will make sure that they secure an Oni Fury, and that is big. Oni Fury, you're gonna pump out some super powered minions on every single lane. And so now Blue actually has to split up their time and their resources to make sure that those minions don't actually bring down tier 2 towers.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Red Team needs to just try to fight in mid, try to make sure that they can't retreat from that 1 point, you know? Maybe push the Fire Giant if they have to. Just push one objective to where they have to fight you there so you can take those towers. Or you just take that objective. You take those mid towers, you take that Fire Giant. You just give them an offer that they can't refuse.
Exactly, you know, you gotta do it just like the Mafia, just like you said. I mean, like, at this point, though, it looks kind of like Red doesn't necessarily know exactly what objective they want to do next. I mean, I understand not doing the Fire Giant call because there are 5 from Blue, and Jingwei was easily able to clear out that left wave. Amon able to clear out the right wave. There are no more Oni minions on the field, and in fact, they have a little bit of pressure in almost every lane except for right.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, I know they got the gold and XP from the Gold Fury, but they didn't really get to utilize it fully with those buffed waves. They didn't really have the coordination there to push all those waves at the same time or push in one spot and force them to not be able to clear those waves. And that might be something I have to think about in later games.
Now Vamon gonna try to fight this Bologna here on the right lane, but Bologna's just gonna back away. We got a 3v3 here in mid. Jing is going to eventually return back to lane now that she's decided we're looking at this Fire Giant, but Nemesis is all the way in the left. So I think they're going to try to take this 5v4 and sacrifice a tower for it because they know if this 5v4 goes in their favor, they definitely take, oh no, Jing is going to back and instead probably going to go defend that tier 2, but that tier 2 is already gone.
That's already going to go down. And that
yeah, that
is just
was
going to run away.
That was just a questionable call there. I definitely would have said, hey, Jing, let's just take this 5v4. Now Vamon's in a bad spot. We'll go down to a bunch of Agni bombs. Now Bologna looking for this Ganesh. Spooky Mars behind the wall, able to throw out whatever. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel gonna force the beads out of Ganesh. Swift Vengeance will come out of Nemesis trying to chase it down. But Spooky Mars is here, is gonna throw down some circles of death, or at this point I think it's more like dissuasion. Girdle does get popped, so they're looking for this tower. And that thing is gone. Ganesh here in a bad position.
He's getting low. He's going to be forced to back. Two people went into the jungle to chase the Nemesis instead of defending those towers. And that Izanami's going to take down the Ganesh because of it.
And that's
they
just
kind of split themselves up just too much.
And again, that's just an unfortunate call there. I mean, definitely not having the Jingwei, who's your main damage dealer, not there to defend the tower, but instead chasing a Nemesis, who in reality she's probably never going to catch up with, is just unfortunate. Now, Red is going to look for this Pyromancer. Essentially, it's free, because the only one there is Jing, and Jing is definitely... I wouldn't go a 4v1 as Jing. You are most likely dead.
I mean, at the same time, I do think that Janitors could have just taken big fire there, you know? It was 3-on-1, 3-on-5, and the Merlin had backed at that point, so it was really just the Jingwei there to contest it, and they certainly had the health bars and damage to take that out quickly, so...
Yeah, I'm not sure how confident they are. I'm just not sure how confident they are in terms of the DPS that they can put output. Only because I don't know if Bologna right now... Bologna essentially has no DPS to account for. Izzy has Silver Branch and Atlanta's and Kin Size, which helps, and now Icavale will help even more with the DPS. I think Izzy really did need that Icavale's or another slot there in order to really DPS that for real, because Agni also not really building to burn objectives, but rather to burn gods here.
Definitely, I mean, they're certainly better builds there to take down objectives for certain. Crit does a much better job than the pen build that Izanami's going.
Now Ganesh a little bit caught out. Jing and Izzy are over there, but not choosing to engage onto this Ganesh. Now Jing, that's some dangerous positioning for this Jing and for this Merlin. Does not get the root onto Jing, so she is able to get away and will turn around looking to slam some basics onto him. But don't worry, Agni is there to rain fire from downtown. Divine Judgment does come out onto the Colossal Fury. There's nobody to help Vamon. Vamon is dead. Now, that's just gonna be
kills.
That's just gonna be 3 kills in super fast order, as they all kind of grouped up for Agni to throw down some bombs and for Nemesis to kind of
4 for none.
Yeah, 4 for nothing.
In there. And they're looking to take down that fire. I mean, they do have the low health bars, but I do think they have the damage.
Now pings are gonna come out on the side of blue. I think trying to incentivize him to come back in, but I don't know. He already had used his ultimate, and that's really his only way of trying to steal an objective. At that point, I think he's better used to defend Phoenixes and make sure that they can't really push out that hard. But this tower goes down in quick order, and now I think they're going to look at mid tower, and it's not going to be long until they're pushing on to that Phoenix here on the right side of the map as well, down the solo lane. Robin's going to sit here trying to find something. Dharmic Pillars did come out of blue side, but right Phoenix is gone. Robin engaging onto this mid lane, but only able to really put down some damage on Agni and not able to do much else. And this right Phoenix is kind of going to go down for free. Essentially, everything past like a minute 22 has been for free for red team here. Janitors has kind of been running it down, and I don't know. Just seems like We Need Wards is a little bit disjointed in their calls, in the sense that they might not be on the same page all the time.
I mean, that certainly does take time, you know. I mean, I do think they got a new member or two, so, you know, maybe they're not quite confident in following each other's calls.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something they need to work on.
It's one of those things that definitely takes time. and it's something that always is always being worked on, because you can be really, really good at it and still need to improve. It's just one of those things you want to perfect at a certain point. But the only reason I even really mention is because Jingwei and Merlin sometimes completely separated from their tanks, and that's devastating. Because both Jingwei and Merlin, like, if they get caught out, they get caught out. That's it. They're dead.
Yeah, I mean, Jingwei's pretty decent about that. You know, she's relatively slippery. She's probably the slipperiest of the ADCs.
Yeah, she definitely
there
is.
You have her, Hachi. Hachi's also super safe. It looks like they're going to go ahead and try to siege down this left Phoenix.
Definitely good call. Good ward usage here to make sure that Robin can't just sneak up from behind. Agony gonna go ahead and throw down some fire. Nemesis probably gonna look to either proxy this wave or maybe even split push. So they're looking for.
That is a good call there to split that Robin off and just, you know, try to make them focus on two different things at once.
Yeah,
have that
Clips.
mid Phoenix getting pushed. You have those fire minions in right.
So there's gonna be a full engage here. Vamon able to pick out that Izanami early on, and that's actually huge here as they continue down with the Colossal Fury. Gets the double kill onto the Bologna. Now that's a frontliner and the ADC down. Nemesis is gonna have to run to the right side of the jungle, but does manage to get that middle Phoenix for free because Robin left it undefended. And Nemesis is just gonna back right here
like
in their face, able to get
all the way in the left jungle. Yes, and he does. He chases him all the way down.
Vamon not stopping the pursuit, able to pick up another one, and that early kill onto that Izanami was absolutely devastating to any chance Janitors had on that left Phoenix siege, but leaving that Nemesis alone opened them up to a mid Phoenix. And so honestly, even though it might seem like a win in terms of that team fight, you have two Phoenixes down now as we need wards, and that's not a good look.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no big objectives to take either. You know, they got the Pyro, but that's not super significant this late in the game.
No, it's
Fire
not.
Giant. There's no Primal Fury. And I don't think they're even going to get more than that middle tower, that tier 1.
Now, Jing looking for this right tower for sure, and I think she can get away with it, but Bologna does TP in.
And she's just going to back off.
Yeah, that's a good call. Bologna does shut down ADCs really, really fast. I mean, between the disarm and the block stacks that she gets, definitely not an engagement I would choose to have.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely one of the best solos to just solo down those ADCs. She just has the kit just designed around it, really.
Now, they are looking at this Oni Fury, but this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Maybe just let them have Oni and take fire, because Fire's coming out pretty soon. And honestly, Red has so much coverage. Janitors has so much ward coverage here on this left side of the jungle.
Yeah, but I don't think We Need Wards really has the time to dedicate to those objectives. They can't really send everybody at fire, everybody at gold.
Yeah, and that's going to be
fire minions pushing in on 2 lanes.
And they lost pressure all the way on left, so this is definitely something. Now Vamon's the only one here on this Oni Fury. There's going to be a 4-man rotation, 5-man coming in pretty soon. Ganesh looking for the ward, destroying that. They're just going to let that go, but they are going to bundle up for this Fire Giant. Now, she does get knocked up, and that's not good because Bologna is here, and she's going to punish you for taking that much damage. Does bring out the Eagles rally, doesn't connect, is inside the Dharmic Pillar, so she will be getting melted. Did pop Thorns. Jingwei going to have to back up with less than a 10th health. So, I mean, still, you have a good We Need Wards can definitely at least still push up a little bit. I don't know if they need to be this afraid of anything, really. They still have the health. Jing can cover the mid. They gave up a lot of pressure there. And so we do get an engagement between the two tanks. Vamon going straight for the Izanami. But now he's facing Jing and the Izanami. Divine Judgment does come out onto Vamon. Ganesh looking to silence the Jing, but Vamon is as good as dead. Robin looking and searching for this Nemesis, but Izzy does pick up the kill on the Jingwei. Now it's turning into a full raw as Izzy gets double kill Nemesis picks up a third, and then picks up a second double kill for a
And that should be
deicide,
the
and this
game.
is an endgame call. This is an endgame
100%
call.
an endgame call. You run down that middle Phoenix, it's just about to spawn, and you take that Titan. You've got 40 seconds till that Vamana spawns. There's no chance that they're able to defend this. That's going to be game 1. The first game of Season 2, Reap Smite League.
That was intense, and not an intense, but a very well fought game 1.
Absolutely. I mean, We Need Wards never gave up. You know, they just did their best to stay on that defense as long as they could, and you know, they almost had a great play defending on that left Phoenix, but they just weren't able to turn that into any momentum on their end.
Yeah, essentially the disjointed call around the Fire Giant probably is what cost them the game the most right there, because they had the opportunity to really leverage a lead, because they had just gotten that monumentous fight in the left lane. They had just gotten an early pick with the Vaman, and so I understand that Jing needed to go back, but I don't know if that means the whole team has to reset also when they're all at full health. Like, you take that 4v4 because everybody on your team kind of wins out, because Vaman can definitely zone out pretty much anybody that's trying to hurt Merlin, and so can Ganesh, but sometimes things work out the way that they do, and it's one thing that if I had something to say to We Need Wards, it's that coordinate your targets, because in team fights it looked like they were fighting 3 different people.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the area damage from the Merlin as well as the Ganesh, but I mean, they just didn't really call their targets well, I don't think. You know, they didn't focus one person well enough, and just like you said, I mean, they just weren't able to burst down that one person they needed to get the edge in those fights until that late game on that Phoenix. They got that Izanami down, and they were able to turn that fight. So I think just a little bit more practice on ward spacing and those team fight calls, and they could do very well.
They can do spectacularly. I think they definitely showed what they were capable of in that left side Phoenix. And so, definitely, like, in the opposite end, Janitors were able to single out whoever they wanted. Vaman dived, they singled him out. Jing Wei was out of position, they singled her out. Like, they did not stop trying to target one person, and they didn't even care if they lost one person in return, as long as they knew that they carried that fight over to the next, and to the next, and to the next. But to talk about stat lines, look at the Izanami and 6-3-2, but that Agony, talking about kill participation, 6-4-13, was able to really bring down some pain. The real Bilbo, honestly, was able to get a lot of solo fights early onto Spooky Mars on the Merlin, was able to survive a lot of team fights long enough for him to brain fire. So, what do you think about the Agony pick here?
I think the Agni pick really worked out well for them, you know? That artillery mage in those team fights, you know, they kind of danced around the fight, not really aggressing, and he just kept throwing out those pokes to make sure it couldn't be a fair fight.
Yeah, and as we see, like, they're picking up Hide in the Mian, because Jing Wei, basic attack heavy, like,
yeah,
really
those
has
big crits, you can't afford to take them. You get chunked out, and that's 2 blocks. That's an amazing item.
Yeah, and Bologna has it as well, so that's already going into the blocks she already has naturally. Jing picks up Midgardian Mail, so even when Jing didn't really have any good targets except for Izanami, because Nemesis is going to pull out the Retribution Shield, and you're just taking that damage right back, So definitely very interesting, very nice build pattern where they identified that Jing putting out a lot of damage. Let's just avoid her. Vaman, basic attack heavy. Let's just avoid him. Let's build these items and make it even tougher alongside an Ikavale pickup.
Yeah, so what do you think We Need Wards needs to do in this next game in order to get a win?
I think they need to play a little bit more like team fight heavy comps, so that they can kind of compensate for the lack of coordination, maybe the lack of team cohesion, because we're just starting the season. because that they might not have scrimmed enough together that they might have. So Merlin, I still think is kind of solid here. I think that you can get a Cupid instead of a Jing Wei if Jack knows how to play Cupid. You know, you can
just get that nice buff to his clear, so he's a very viable hunter at this point. The huge ult and just a lot more team presence than that Jingwei.
Yeah, and maybe, I know that Taboo can play he can play Bacchus instead. Like, even though Bacchus isn't really high, again, you're putting down a lot of pressure. You play something like Bacchus, you play like something like Jing, kind of take the Jing away from Janitors, right? Because Jing did put in a lot of work, was able to really just kind of be everywhere whenever he wanted. So again, playing something with a little bit more team fight, I think, would be the way to go. So that way they can contest those objectives.
It looks like we are going to get back into these picks and bans. Are you expecting any target bans based on that last game?
Agni. You have to get you. I don't know if they had a proper way to handle Agni, and I feel like you'd kind of need to take that away from the real Bilbo, because he was able to show how powerful he really was with that Agni pick.
Now I'm gonna do just a little bit of season 1 knowledge here. I know Spooky has a pretty decent Agni as well, so I'm expecting them not to ban it and instead first pick it.
Yeah, that's definitely like an option that they have, is the first picket here, and that wouldn't be bad either. Now they do ban out the Nemesis here, and that's also fair because Nemesis was able to kind of run the field, and I don't know if they knew how to handle Nemesis's mobility, because they kept on splitting 2 against 1 against her, and that really drained their resources during team fights as well.
Yeah, and she was just kind of able to get away whenever she wanted with those dashes. So definitely good there. Maybe try to get them into a jungler that they can lock down just a little bit easier. And we see the same bans from Janitors: the Hercules, the Heim, and the Thor.
Interesting. I mean, I guess if what worked the first time worked, you might as well not really try to fix it. You don't want to get rid. Like, maybe they did some of their research and they're like, hey, if we give them this Thor, like, they're gonna run the field. If we give Jack that Heimdallr, they're gonna run it. So definitely, if that's what works for them and they did their bands and their after research, that's good. So we do get a first pick Bologna. I want to hear your opinion on this because I'm gonna give you my opinion, but I want to hear yours.
I mean, they're taking away the Bologna, and I know that Kunzanity played it just about every game in Season 1. It was really his go-to pick, so I can really understand taking that as a contested pick. And it looks like Janitors are just going to run it back for the most part, getting the Izanami and Xingtian right off the bat.
I do like this Izanami and Xingtian. It did work out for them. I'm not sure if I still like the Izanami, because I feel like even though she did have an impact in that game, now with the Bologna on the side of We Need Wards, I feel like a lot of her impact's going to be kind of mitigated by the fact that you have a disarm, by the fact you have blocks, and Yamoja being hovered here. Now, Yamoja is big. If they do get this Yamoja, they do lock in this Yamoja, that's huge. It pretty much locks out Jing Chen.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a lot of healing in those late game team fights. You know, you can kind of keep yourself topped off while you're dancing around that Fire Giant or Gold Fury. And you can see a lot of good plays with that, you know, the War of Attrition, where the Yamoja is just going to keep healing people, and they're going to be able to take that fight longer. And I like the Izanami into the Bologna personally. I mean, you have the double hitting basic attacks, so you're going to shred through those block stacks.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. Is like, she can work. I would have preferred to see a higher jungle priority. I mean, either pick a jungle, pick a better hunter. But if it worked out for them first game, I definitely won't disagree with them second game. Definitely not enough for me to make that the hill I die on in my casting session, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe they're just trying not to show out their goth pools too much, you know? They won that first game. They don't really want people to be able to do too much of research on them, you know? So they're going to play roughly the same casts, really kind of make sure that they don't have to show out too many gods.
And that's completely fair. You know, if if you can make it work, make it work. Like Izanami definitely put down some pressure, was able to connect in some solid silences. Jing Chen was able to put down some pain. The Robin gets banned out, so apparently they didn't. They don't want them to have the Robin again.
I mean, the Robin could just be because they're probably thinking it's a comfort pick, so get him a little bit off the edge. Make him dig a little bit deeper into his pool. We see the Agni ban. I was expecting it. I mean, I was expecting it more to get picked up, but I understand the ban as well. We see the Merlin ban, so we're going to see two different mid laners.
Two different mid laners. Two different mages have to be picked up here. Cannot go back to the old reliable. Though final ban off of We Need Wards. Also fair. I mean, like, hey, if you're gonna ban out Agni, you might as well ban out though. Like, if your problem is long range engagements, solid bans.
And we see the Circuit. Don't think we've seen any Circuit in season 1, so that'll be interesting.
And that's going to be a lot more mobility right there, too. Like, talking about high mobility gods, that's definitely going to be something that you just have to deal with.
And look at that. You said they needed some team fight. Boom, there it is. You got a Hunbots, a Scylla, and a Yamoja.
Yeah, no, they
could
definitely
name any better CC chains. I'll wait.
Also, and they got the Bologna, so Bologna still can use Eagles Rally to kind of go in there, but this Poseidon pickup also really nice on the side of Janitors. Kind of hurts the Scylla, Scylla can't go I'm a monster yet because she has to be careful with that Kraken that can come out at any point and be like, oh yeah, I'm a monster, I'm just gonna deal massive amounts of damage and put a whirlpool at your feet. Like, sure, you're purified, but still, that's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. And I mean, we see the team comp on Janitors. They have the Amma to burn the beads, so the Xingtian can set up those massive Krakens. That Amaterasu, amazing in those late game team fights, using that ult to just kind of force everybody to either take that stun and take a lot of chip from the mage.
And so here's where Yamoja is really going to be deciding. I think she's the decision maker for blue, like in the set or for We Need Wards, because she can disrupt Amaterasu's ult. She can disrupt Jing's ult. And if she can disrupt both of those two, she puts her team in a really, really good spot. But she has to disrupt those two. Because Ama just running at your backline, and you don't really have a lot of CC immunity in that. Well, you do have Bologna, you do have Jing, and you do have Scylla, but you don't really want them to ult when the enemy wants them to ult. You want them to ult when they want to ult.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one thing we're going to see here is a lot of focus on that mid lane from that Circuit, looking to push that Scylla deck down pretty hard.
Yeah, and Circuit, one of the best gods in terms of like that mobility, that disengage, can immediately come in, and she's right back out as soon as she came back in. Like, she can dash her way out, or she can jump out. Like, there's just a lot of options for her there. Using Last Breath as well, her ultimate, she can also create space if she needs it. So definitely something that We Need Wards needs to realize and recognize and respect. Basically say, hey, Circuit's going to get away when she wants to get away. So let's focus on the things that she's trying to protect the most.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the Circuit pick up there as well. It's kind of the same as the Nemesis. If Nemesis wants to get away, she's going to have a pretty decent time doing it. Same with the Circuit. And she has the invisibility and the little ambush move. I forget what it is. The little jump has the invisibility on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Circuit, like you said, is looking for the Scylla, but I will give We Need Wards this. That team is probably one of the safest comps you can probably draft. Like, Bologna's probably the most unsafe one in that list, but Riptide from Yamoja, Humbats gets to either use a Sacred Monkey or Somersault away. Jing Wei with just the millions of dashes that she has, and Scylla with her Sentinel means that all of those gods can be like, oh, you popped up, adios.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be loading in shortly, getting over this spectator delay. And yeah, man, I'm hoping for another competitive game. I'm still gonna give the edge to Janitors on the early game for sure. The Izanami Xingtian lane is very strong. However, the Amaterasu is weaker than the Bologna in that early game.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Bologna actually runs really well on Amaterasu only because she's able to kind of mitigate Amaterasu's illuminating strike passive. So she won't get full value out of that, out of a basic attack build if she decides to opt into that. So I definitely do still give that early game the Janitors. But I feel like anytime you see a Jingwei and a Scylla on the other side, you basically say, hey, in 20 minutes, if the game isn't over, it's going to we need wards. Now we did say that last game, and that did kind of fall apart. But I do believe that we need wards can actually make this one work. I think you have that time in between games to kind of say, hey, this is what we need to do better. I think that they can kind of bring things together for this one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they just need to get those early wards out to try to catch that Circuit from getting that Scylla down early. Think if that Scylla can get to that 20-25 minute game with only a death or two, she'll certainly be doing a ton of damage in those team fights.
Yeah, so we do see some builds come out now. Poseidon opting for the not the trinket build, but for the lost artifact, and Scylla opting for some penetration early on. What do you think about that? Because so far that's really the only difference between the two teams.
I mean, they're both viable options. I'm guessing that the Poseidon is going to go into that Doom Orb after the boots to be able to kind of rotate and get more farm efficiently. So that could be pretty beneficial for him there. And I mean, I love Flat Pen. I mean, it has been nerfed just a little bit since the previous patches, so it's not that great anymore. But I mean, Flat Pen is Flat Pen. It's always going to be effective on those squishy targets.
Yeah, definitely. So Flat Pen's super duper good early on. And I mean, I know I saw Spooky rush Spirit of Magus early on, so I wonder if he's going to do the same here. Because Spirit of Magus, good item, and especially since the passive change and stuff like that. Now, we do get a Moonstrike onto the Jing 10. There is going to be a little bit of pressure onto the Jing. Jing taking a second Moonstrike, definitely getting a little bit poked out. He definitely can still start up on some pots, but that's not a good look for a lane that's trying to win that early game.
Yeah, and I mean, Xingtian has to be a lot more careful with his health. He has those multi-pots. While Yamoja, she doesn't need mana. She doesn't need mana pot sticking. She has those health pots.
Mm-hmm. Now, Amma looking in a tough spot.
Amma is just in a rough spot. She doesn't go into Bologna that well in the early game.
Bludgeon does come out, but Glorious Charge will get her out of that damage. Now, the shield does come out in response. Scourge also comes out. So, Amma takes a little bit of poke, but she does have a good sustain in her ability to use the switch between the different versions of Divine Presence. So, she's not completely in the dirt, but this does allow Bologna to secure that totem.
Yeah, I mean, that totem, especially early game, is incredibly helpful, especially in the mid lane. Jungle as well. Getting that mana sustain early is just very nice.
We didn't get to talk about it, but we were talking about how potent Izanami Jing lane is, but one thing I was going to notice, which we are seeing in display here in true form, is that Yamoja is probably the best god to basically say, hey, stop being super aggressive, because I will punish you so hard for doing that.
She's able to just rain down those skills on you while you're trying to line yourself up with the wave to hit all of them at the same time. Unlike the Jing Wei that's able to just kind of pick whatever minion she wants to hit. She doesn't have the piercing. She doesn't have really big abilities, so she's just going to be autoing them down.
Now, since Scylla did not connect on the Sikkim, though, if she did, that would have been big. Now, Now the overhand smash does connect on Ama, forcing Ama back, but I believe that she has teleport. So she will be back. And I would suspect that they're going to look at this totem after that next wave here.
Navilona's just in a great spot right now, you know, she's full health. She's got a little bit of mana. She's got the blue buff to sustain up. She is down the boots, however, so that might allow the Amma to fight her just a little bit better. However, she's just going to take that totem for free.
Yeah, so Ken not opting to engage on that, which, I mean, fair enough, but I don't know. I definitely think when you have a 2v1 situation like that, you can, especially with the Circuit, you can at least be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they might not have been thinking about totem, you know, they didn't have the timer on it, so might just not have realized that it was up at that point.
Getting a little bit of downtime as now we are basically farming up. Like Blue, We Need Wards has been doing a great job in ensuring that Janitors can't leverage that early game pressure that they were very comfortable in having first game. In fact, Bologna will pick up that kill onto the Amaterasu. They're looking for Jingwei, but it's kind of like what you were saying in the first game. Jingwei's kind of safe. Oh my god, the Fear No Evil will come down, and now overhead smash will basically bring her into the ground and take her to a quick trip to the fountain.
Yeah, and that was just a great counter gank from the Hun bots, you know? He saw that she was all the way at tower. You had you had the gods there to really take that fight there.
And Lamy looking for another one now. River's Rebuke does not stop Jing Chen from leaping around. I'm a Monster also comes out, so that's 2 ultimates down for essentially no gain there. And this is where I was saying, like, Yamoja can basically turn a fight, but you gotta be a little bit more careful with who you're doing that against, because if they have a leap, they're gonna get out. Circuit looking for this Scylla, and a Kraken will come out in response to Circuit locking her down with Last Breath. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel will come out onto the Yamoja, brings him out, and he will go down to the tower and not to Yamoja. And Humbat's just a little bit too late to get here and make anything out of that rotation. So this is a great job from Janitors to bring them back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a very close game right now, you know. 2-2. Circuit is a little bit behind the Hun bots, and she does kind of want to be ahead, you know. She's super bursty, while the Hun bots has a little bit more utility in this kit, so...
Yeah, but she does...
not really being able to box him is not good.
Yeah, no, she can't box him currently, especially if he has ult and she doesn't, and she knows that her ult is down. And she should know that his is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a very long ult timer, so... It will take a little bit of time, but he does now have it. And we see that the Circuit opts for the,
Talarians. Yeah.
I had to think of the name for a second.
No worries. I mean, that's one of those you don't see. Now, we do get some aggression here. Eagles Rally connects perfectly onto Ama. Ama has to use Dazzling Offensive defensively. Now, Last Breath also comes out of Circuit. Bologna just robbed Janitors of 2 ultimates in trade for 1, and 2 very significant.
That was impressive. You know, if that Honor roster didn't have that ult there, that would have been 2 kills.
And that's huge. That's really huge. Now, if I am We Need Wards, I'm saying, hey, we're taking an objective. Fear No Evil does not connect, but Riptide does knock Xingchen back into the fight, but not enough for Humbats or for Scylla to feel comfortable with trying to take them on. Poseidon trying to go secure those mid Harpies, but will not. Jing having to take a back here now that she's at a quarter health. Izzy doing a good job of pressuring her out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the Izanami rotating over to this. I mean, there was no real way that they could have gotten the gold period at that point. So I think she should have just continued to farm her lane, gotten a little bit ahead of that Jingwei.
Now Kraken will come out, so will Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, and so will this Circuit that helped them secure that damage and get 2 kills. One onto the Humbats and one onto the Emoja. Now Scylla not in a good position. Jing looking for Gold Fury Steel. Does have Airstrike available. Comes around the backside. Is looking for it still. I'm a Monster does not connect for the Steel. Now we're looking at it. Spooky does pick up the kill onto Jing. And Jingwei picks up the kill onto the Circuit. And boy, Janitors really kind of dropped the ball on that one as they also lost the Gold Fury.
I believe Janitors got the Gold Fury.
Did they?
That's what it showed up on the chat.
Still, 2 kills for a Gold Fury. Maybe not, or I mean, they did have to secure the Gold Fury if they are on a gold lead. So that was my mistake. But only 500.
I honestly thought that the Scylla did before I saw it pop up. I was like, how did they even get that? There was nobody near it, you know? I guess the Zing Tian had the ticking damage on it.
But definitely good on We Need Wards to find 2 kills in that engagement for sure. Especially getting that kill to go for Jingwei and for Scylla, because that's where you want that carry to happen. That's where you want that gold to go, the XP, all of that. You want that to go into your 2 hyper carries.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they need that lead a lot more than the other gods. You know, Umoja, she still has utility without being ahead or even. Hunbot still has that amazing ult even when he's behind. You really just need to focus all of that farm into those members.
Now looking forward to Jing Chen. I'm a Monster will connect. Spooky gets the kill. And down goes Kid Slim on that Jing Chen. Moja not able to back in peace. Poseidon will not let that happen. Now looking for a little bit of basic damage onto the Scylla. Scylla at half health. Now we see a little bit of engagement from the Circuit. Kraken comes out. Scylla's Sentinels does prevent Sickle.
Oh
connect.
my god, that was an
Very
amazing
nice. Still will secure the kill. The Circuit will. But hey, who knows? Spooky's going to get it off of the last tower shot. And down goes that Humbot because of into the title search, and the tick damage from last breath will bring him down. Very nice Sikkim from that Scylla though. And this game turning out to be way more even than before. Jing looking for somebody, but nobody is there, Jing. They're all on damage camp, and what are you going to do here? There's a 3-man right there.
I mean, it might be like that Goldfury, you know? He's trying to bait them into grouping up while that Poseidon makes his way over there. Looking for a play, you know? Getting them all grouped and then just hitting them with that Whirlpool into ult.
Jing foregoing that wave under tower in order to secure the oracles. Talking about, you know, weird rotations out of the carry lane. That is definitely one of them. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel will throw the Umoja into that tower. Title Surge will also prevent her from leaving anytime soon. Fear no evil does come out, but there is no kill. Only on the side here of Janitors, as well as another kill in the solo lane, as Bologna will go down thanks to the help of that Circuit.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like Janitors have kind of overcome that early, not lead, disadvantage, I guess you could say. And they're, you know, just starting to win these fights, you know, rotate just a little bit better. And I mean, we need wards, you know, they're warding a little bit better, you know, they're a little bit more spaced out.
Definitely great wards on the side of both teams here. They're definitely using their ward coverage effectively and to ensure that they're not getting, you know, ganked without notice. Because that's the worst feeling. You know, you're an ADC carry, you're just farming in lane the entire time, and all of a sudden, 3 people are in your lane, and you're just like, Where are they? Why are they here?
How did they get here? Where am I? What went wrong?
What went wrong? What are the cause? But it's not always the team's fault. It's definitely those wards help a lot more. Now, it should be both. It should be the team saying, hey, I don't know where this person is, but wards help so much.
I mean, you know, you get pushed out of lane, you can't tell them that they're starting to go to that left lane. You can't communicate that because you just don't have vision. And we see a solo kill from the Jing onto the Izanami.
Now, Jack showing his muscles, essentially saying, hey, no, Izzy, I'm 2-0-2, you're 0-1-0. The ADC carry here is me. And that's actually a really scary thing for Janitors because that's the one person you don't want to see a goose egg on that deaths column.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, that Jing Wei has a better late game, in my opinion, as well. You know,
It's
that Izanami
way
has
better.
that great early game with the cleave, not the cleave, the piercing autos, but she just kind of falls off after that.
Pulls out dazzling offensive. Eagles rally does come out. The pursuit is on, but nobody told Humbats. Humbats had leaped out instead of leaping in, and so now there is no kill.
We do see a totem from that. I mean, that was what, 2 ultimates? Yeah, it was the ultimate on the Hunbots and the Bologna.
And trade for 1 on the Ama and not getting a kill there. Again, that's where that coordination needs to occur because I think if Humbats had somersaulted in instead of out, they definitely could have picked up that kill.
Absolutely. I mean, he has that slow on his jump. I want to say at level 5, it's something around the line of 40% if he actually hits you with it.
I believe so.
I mean, she just wouldn't have been able to run at that point.
Now, Thorns, this is turning into a wet noodle fight, but don't worry, Emoja's here. Riptide's her back. Dazzling Offensive's going to have to come out, but who knows? River's Rebuke is just going to beat her to bring her down, but there's no follow-up on the side of this Bologna, and that's just, again, just unfortunate. Like, that's exactly where you want that ultimate to go.
And we see the very many people on right lane, and we see left lane again getting that solo kill. Not easily, though. Getting very low there, having to use the ult to secure it, but it's going to be another solo kill from the Jing.
Now, this Scylla's beads did not come out fast enough. She is going to go down due to a nice rotation from that Circuit.
Jingwei taking some very interesting pathing here. I think that she could have gotten that tier 1 tower, but now I think
looking
she
for
dies
another
to
one.
Yeah.
And
she
stuff
weird pathing there. Didn't really go for any farm, just kind of walked around.
And didn't respect the rotation. She didn't have to know that he was coming. There is a ward there. And that's just unfortunate. Don't worry, Humbats is going to go try to jump in and fear no evil if I had to guess. Is looking for it. River's Rebuke comes out. Now, the ultimate did come out in fast. We need wards. Does steal the Gold Fury here. Nice River's Rebuke into a combo of that fear no evil. Xing Chen now trying to find something. Trying to find this Humbats. Ama is here as well. Bologna looking for somebody as well. Picks up the Poseidon. And the real Bilbo will take a quick adventure down to the fountain.
And this is just an amazingly close game, you know? They're even on gold.
Xing will fall to Spooky, as he has shown that on this Scylla, he is somebody to be feared, that he is the monster in this game as well. So your 2 carries doing exactly what you want to see. Like, they are killing it. And now they're going to secure this Pyro for free.
Yeah, and that's just going to give them just a little bit of extra gold, extra XP. Let them back and regroup back to their lanes faster, so they might look to get an objective off of that with that out of base speed, being all able to group up on a fire.
Yeah, I definitely think fire might be the call here because they do have a 2-level lead on this Jing into Izzy. They do have a level loss against the Poseidon, but still Scylla is still going to be doing massive amounts of damage. Like, she does have the spear online. She has Divine. I assume she's going into a Soul Reaver, so it's going to be a lot of damage here.
I mean, I think in this game we only are really going to see maybe 2 more team fights, in my opinion. I mean, Janitors gets, you know, a decent fight and then a solid team fight. I think they could really take the Fire Giant down and just kind of run with it.
They might be able to at this point in the game. We will see, but not if Serket gets caught out by Fear No Evil. She is trying to leap over, but Moonstrike will shut her down, and Yamojo will pick up that kill. Limey does take a lot of damage from that Kraken. Will have to pull back, but don't worry, Jing Wei is here. Crush does not connect. Thanks to a nice split from the Jing. River's Rebuke looking to shut down that Poseidon down, and down he goes to Jing Wei. Does pick up another kill. Limey will die in response to the Izanami's rotation. Sentinel will bring this Scylla back. Doesn't connect with Sikkim, just like maybe a pixel off on the Izanami. Izanami will dash away. Still, 2 kills for 1. We Need Wards comes out on top in that engagement.
Yeah, and I mean, we see that pressure on the right lane as well. Bologna didn't get a kill on the Amaterasu, but she did force that wave under tower. Gonna get just a little bit of damage off on that. Get a little bit more XP and gold lead on that.
Now, Izzy doing what Izzy does best, which is just to burn down towers, not caring who's under it. And
yeah, I mean, she's going that pen build, so she certainly has the tower shred there.
Yeah, and Yamoja just not enough wave clear. Not enough wave clear out of that Yamoja. Yamoja looking to position herself and body block that Jing. But Jing is just going to flip out and say, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. This isn't fun.
Yeah, I mean, Jing, he does have the 2 dashes. He has the root. He's relatively mobile. A lot more mobile than a lot of people think.
Yeah, because he can be in the front line for like 5 seconds, basically like knocking out you in the back line, and then when you get to their back line, all of a sudden he's still there. And you're just like, why? Why is he here?
And I mean, this is still anybody's game. 5 members up on each side. 2,200 or so gold lead. Maybe 24 at this point, but still very close.
We Need Wards is definitely showing that they're not going to be pushed around in this second game. Like, they're going all out, getting instrumental picks, trying to contesting objectives, stealing objectives, and ensuring that there's no such thing as free farm or free objectives for the Janitors. Janitors, like their name, are going to have to clean up some of their team fights and make sure that they can actually pick up on more kills than just 1.
Definitely. I mean, Janitors have just been just a little bit sloppy in these team fights, you know. Nothing incredibly serious, but they're just losing out to that Scylla, just being able to put out massive numbers with that crush and ultimate.
Now we do see 3 grouped up here. I wonder if they're going to look at the Gold Fury. But here, if I'm We Need Wards, I'm looking at that Fire Giant. Jingwei's online. Scylla's almost online. You're going to burn that way quicker than that Gold Fury. And that Gold Fury is just gold. Because it's just Gold Fury. Like, I'm not sure how necessary that gold will be. But I'm definitely, I don't know. Fire Giant here would be instrumental. But instead, we do get this perfect River's Rebuke into an Eagles rally. Now everybody has to back away for red team. Now we do see a 1v1 of Jack versus this Serket. Now it's going to turn into a 2v1. Jack is alone, but Jack's going to look for his way out. Does get hit by the ultimate from Izanami. Now Fear No Evil comes out of Humbots, if only just to peel. But there are still 3 members onto this mid tower. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel comes out, pushes them in the tower, pushes them into a massive Kraken, picks up that Bologna. Bologna will go down. And so this is what we were talking about.
Janitor needs to make a power play. They need to say, it's 4v5, we're taking one of these objectives. And I'd love to see it be that Fire, however they are posing around that Gold Fury.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely, like, this is what we were talking about, Janitors needing to clean up that that team fight, they got the pick on the Jingwei because they were like, hey, look, not the Jingwei, but they were able to split up the team because of where that Jingwei was. That Jingwei really far in front of that Gold Fury into the red side's jungle. Like, you gotta be careful being that far up. And so they clearly split up and said, hey, we'll try to take this Jingwei. And that forced Humbots to use his ult, Humbots to rotate over, and so they weren't able to make full effect out of that perfect River's Rebuke.
Yeah, and then, I mean, they were able to get that Bologna pick off of it as well. And I think that was just important. You know, they split that team fight very well. They called that Jingwei out very quickly. And that is going to be a whiff on the Mojo ult, unfortunately.
Yeah, if that River's Rebuke catches that Poseidon is dead. Now this Humbots is coming on the backside. Does have Fear No Evil, able to connect with it. Jingwei able to clean up the kill onto the Izanami. Eagles Rally will come out in response. I'm a Monster comes out, but doesn't connect. Kraken does go off, does kill the Humbots, but that doesn't matter. This is a 4v2, and if we need wards, I'm pushing down this tower. Girdle comes out, but Jingwei will pick up another kill. And Whirlwind of Rage and Steel does push them in the tower, but that's where they want to be as they bring down Jing Chen as well and go look for this Gold Fury. Circuit, of course, pushing out the right.
For that Gold Fury, I mean, Circuit's going to take that tower for free, and it's just a Gold Fury. It's not an Oni Fury. They're not going to get pressure and wave for it. It's not a Primal, so they can set up for a faster Fire Giant. That's just pure gold. And I do think that's a little bit of a misplay. I think they could have pretty easily taken the Fire Giant there. They still had their Jingwei alive. And it looks like they're going to go for it now. I mean, it looks like they might just settle for Pyro, though.
Yeah, I think here definitely the call should have been Big Fire, then Pyro. And if let gold be gold. Who gives a crap about Gold Fury this late in the game?
Yeah,
like, I know not all builds are online, but still.
You're going to get the same amount of gold from sieging down towers with Fire Giant buff that you are going to get from that Gold Fury. 2 towers is easily enough to cover the difference between them. And I mean, if you get those tower pressures, you can force the Gold Fury anyway.
Exactly. You're right on the mark there. I mean, it's just one of those things that's really hard to get the mentality of, like, gold's the easier objective, so you want to do that because it's safer. And I understand that mentality, but when you get, like, that type of wipe on the side of we need wards, I am blazing towards that Fire Giant.
Absolutely. That was what, 4-on-1?
4-on-1. Circuit, the only one able to defend, doesn't have any secure on the side of Circuit. The only thing she can do is ambush in. But if she's ambushing in, then you just kill her and you just go straight down right.
Yeah, I think the only thing that Circuit could really do at that point is just try to pick one person off if they're low health with the Fire Giant. You know, take the Fire Giant buff off maybe the Jingwei if she takes a little too much poke from the Fire Giant.
No, I do want to.
In a better spot, you know, they have the 6,000 or so gold lead.
They do, and it does help them get their builds online. River's Rebuke, again, not connecting with anything, but does connect on the Moon Strikes, and so at least you're getting some utility right there. Now, Circuit is here, bringing the pain on the Spooky Mars. Now, Eagles Rally also does go down. Whirlwind of Steel and Rage goes down, but both teams are looking a little low. But don't worry, Yamoja is here. She will definitely use her Mending Waters to try to bring them back up to healthy. And they're still looking for somebody. They know that this Jing Chen does not have ultimate anymore. I would not be surprised if they look for some aggression. Now, Jack's stepping up a little bit ahead. Now, I don't know if she's too worried because if he does get hit by that tidal surge, he gets to dash away. Now, Izzy did just dash into that lane. So that's going to be down for if they do choose to have this engagement anytime soon. But it seems like they're not. It seems like they're going to body up for this Fire Giant. They're going to go ahead and leash it. Jack going to go ahead and position himself away from the red jungle, which is the right move here. Jing is rotating over, does put down a ward, so he does know that Jack is right there. Don't worry, River's Rebuke will try to stop them. They are able to secure the Fire Giant. Now, Kraken comes out. Jingwei is able to secure that Circuit kill as she was low. Don't worry. Eagles Rally will secure the kill on the Poseidon. The Riptide knocking some of their allies back. Oh, no. It's okay. Bologna is here, still hitting this Jing Chen, and they're gonna go straight under this tower. They're gonna tower dive this because they got Jing Wei. They can take down this tower super quick. I would not be surprised if this is a Phoenix as well. They're gonna opt not to do the Phoenix, going for another tier 2 tower.
I
Fair
do
call.
think that's the play there. I do think taking down towers one by one is a much better play. You know, you get the extra gold, and I mean, a tower's not going to regenerate. That's gone. That's done.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, probably the better play to take that tower. They could have maybe gotten a Phoenix, but I do believe that you're right. That tower way more valuable at this stage in the game than a Phoenix. Plus, they still will have this Fire Giant buff for at least another minute, I believe, because they didn't really waste that much time of rotating the fire into that tower, so they can look at this tier 2 on the right side and maybe then go for a Phoenix call or rotate all the way back for that Primal.
I mean, I'd love to see some split pushing at this point. I'd love to see maybe 2 on right and 3 in the mid lane, trying to siege down those Phoenixes.
Yeah, I think that's a good call here too. I mean, there's a lot of options here for We Need Wards to try to like make sure that their lead stays their lead and that they do not lose it anytime soon. Because we are getting to the point in the game where if they lose a team fight, that it doesn't matter how far they were ahead. That's game.
Absolutely, a clean team fight at this point is at the very least a Phoenix. It doesn't matter if you have a tier 1 tower in that left lane. You can push through all 3 of those structures insanely quickly. You got just the Phoenix on that right side.
Now, River's Rebuke will shut out this entire Janitors team. They're looking to burn this Oni. We Need Wards able to secure it beyond the Kraken. So that's a waste of Kraken. Don't worry, Bologna is going to make sure that her ultimate does not go to waste as she picks up that Izanami. And we are going to go ahead and see a blink out of this Humbat as he keeps on going. Bologna is still pushing the tempo and will die to the Poseidon. And so will the Humbats. Now it's not necessarily the best thing. Jing Wei did ultimate her way into that Jing kill. But now she's completely out of position as there's 3 from Janitors going on her. That's going to be 1 dead Jing and not anybody dead in return as Yamoja's too low to push up the tempo. And that's just unfortunate there for the side of We Need Wards as Janitors was able to pull out a great counter initiate. Sure, they did not get that Primal Fury, but they were able to pick up 3 kills and return for 2. And if you're Janitors, that means a lot.
Yeah, you're cleansing fire buff as well off of 3 members.
And off of that Jing Wei.
ADC, exactly. So, I mean, they're getting a little bit of pressure on the map. You know, that mid lane is pushed back to the middle. That right lane is pushed a little bit past the halfway point. I mean, they're still down 10,000 gold, but pretty soon that won't be too relevant.
Yeah, pretty soon that won't be too relevant. And they're able to get Pyromancer. And so now, if you're Janitors, you're either looking to take advantage of the fact that We Need Wards will be doing this Fire Giant or fighting for it and putting pressure somewhere else, perhaps pushing down left, at least with Izanami since she's such a great split splitter, and then still kind of fighting them around Fire Giant, or you're just trying to body them up for Fire Giant.
Definitely, I mean, I don't really see Janitors winning a dance around the Fire Giant, seeing as We Need Wards does have the Emoja, you know, she's able to heal off that poke, so unless they fully engage on a member, they're not really going to be able to do anything.
Crush taking a lot of damage off of that Amaterasu.
Looks like we're just going to have a nice little dance around this this Fire Giant, you know? Not quite spawned yet, but it...
Eagles Rally connects on 2. I'm a Monster will come out as well, looking for somebody. Does not connect with anybody, but River's Rebuke is down as well. And they are looking for the real Bilbo. Izanami will pick up a kill on the Humbats, but she will go down and turn to the Yamoja. Poseidon will go down to the Bologna. Bologna is going to go ahead and retreat. Jing Wei is here to stop the Jing from this aggression. Sentinel comes out. Bludgeon comes out. Riptide pushes back blue team, but don't worry, Crush is here and will bring down that Jing Chen. This is going to be a Fire Giant for the side of We Need Wards.
Yeah, I mean, we do have the Surcat coming back in. She knows that they're going for it. It's just a matter of if she can get there and do enough. The Bologna is going to teleport in, though, on that ward. And she's going to push out that that Surcat. She's not going to have a chance to steal that, and they are going to be able to secure that. No problem.
Eagles Rally does come out, and now Surcat has to go all the way back. She has to go, because if she tries to fight this full health, basically full mana Bologna, I promise you she will go down. So they're going to look at this right side T2 tower, and that thing is going to be melted like butter in a microwave, and we're going to go ahead and straight into this Phoenix, I assume, because Bologna is here.
I mean, the Izanami's back up, the Poseidon's back up. They just kind of have to back and regroup, you know?
Yeah, the Moonbot's being that far.
Potions. Get those power pots, and, you know, just take this one step at a time. You know, you got the Fire Giant. Use it effectively. You can't just take fights. You want to kind of push those Phoenixes. You want to make sure that you can get just a little bit of use out of that Fire Giant.
So we need Wards has to look for some sort of objective, though, because they can't just let the Fire Giant buff go away. And so here, where I assume they might look at this Oni Fury only to put a lot of pressure on Janitors so that they can't really defend effectively. Because at this point, Oni minion waves do mean a lot, since they're not going to be having to go through tier 1s or tier 2s. They get to go straight into Phoenix, and they'll melt every single other minion wave that tries to fight them. So they are going to body up for this Oni Fury that's about to come up.
Yeah, we see them grouping there. We see Jingwei getting just a little bit of clear on that left lane. Not quite clearing that wave enough to have it self-push, but still, you know, keeping it even in that middle. And they're going to take that relatively uncontested. The Bologna is there enough to zone.
So I do like this out of Janitors, though. They forfeit the use of the Oni Fury, but they are looking for pressure in every single other lane to at least put something down. Now, I do love this call of going for the left side Phoenix here. You know the next objective is going to be Fire Giant if the game continues that long. So you want to basically make sure that this Phoenix is down, forcing any dance around fire to be a liability for Janitors here. Now, Bologna is chasing. That is Anami there on the right. Pumbats will be there to help. And Jingwei will pick up the Surcat as well. This will be a full-on siege. Now, Jingchen is bodying up here, trying to prevent anything. Whirlwind of Rage still will come out. Kraken will come out in response as well, bringing down almost everybody to half health. Pumbats will go down. And the Phoenix will go down as well, but you just lost two. Don't worry, Jack is going to make sure that people are going to go down on the side of Janitors as well. He'll get a double kill. He'll kill Jing as he walks into this fountain. And I don't know if they can end.
It's only Poseidon for another 25 seconds.
Yeah, but the Emotion not stepping up and Jack taking so much damage from that Titan and dashing into the Phoenix to take even more damage means that this is going to have to be a canceled call.
I'd love to see them take that mid Phoenix. They have the minions there. They need to use that pressure while they still have it. And Poseidon's going to be able to clear that Oni wave before they get a chance to use it.
Yeah, and I think that's where we were talking about in that first game, is that it seems like maybe the communication isn't fully solidified yet, because there you're basically saying, hey, we're either going for this end call or we're taking this mid Phoenix, but we're not just going to back. Like
you just have to commit to one of those calls. You have to say, I don't think we can end here. I think Poseidon is going to be able to pick at least one of us and stop us. So you say, okay, I have a Oni minion wave pushing into your Titan from left. I'm going to take that middle Phoenix, and you can't stop me. And I mean, it's hard to coordinate with those Oni waves. I mean, it takes time, and you just kind of have to pause those fights until you can force those minions in. So it's definitely something hard to master.
Now they are going to body up for this next Fire Giant. Now, here, Janitors needs to fight it, but they can't dedicate too many resources to it because that left wave is slowly going to push into that Titan room. But if they let this Fire Giant go for free, that's definitely going to be devastating for the side of Janitors. Now, we do get a pause here, so we're just going to take a nice little break. The action has been high. The tempo has been really fast, so we're just going to breathe.
Yeah, and I mean this is a very scary position for Janitors. You know, I mean they have to defend that left lane. They can't let those Winions get to the Titan. But at the same time, they have to contest that Fire Giant. I think if they lose that Fire Giant, they lose the game. I think that they'll be able to put enough pressure on that right Phoenix to just open up that map and just win the game.
Yeah, I definitely think that if they let this Fire Giant go, that's it. That's GG right there, because unless they can get monster mental picks on the Jing Wei, especially, and perhaps the Scylla, that's a lost game. The Scylla, because the Scylla is what's going to basically burn the Titan. Like, her Crush, her I'm a Monster is going to essentially guarantee that the Titan's dead. But you need to get rid of Jack, too, because Jack is going to be the one that can melt the Titan and the Phoenix at the same time. Now, we are going to get back into this game.
Yeah, and it looks like Janitors are going to give up their positioning on that Fire Giant. I mean, they have to defend that left lane, but I think they're dedicating a little bit too much resources there. The Izanami and the Amaterasu.
Yeah, I feel like that's not necessary. Now Poseidon's also grouping up with them. And this Fire Giant's essentially going to probably go down for free here. There's nobody in position to really contest unless this Ama just dashes straight in and uses Dazzling Offensive to try to secure it. Not in time. We'll use Dazzling Offensive, but what for? There's nobody there to follow up that damage, and now you're just alone. Now you get hit by Fear No Evil. And don't worry, Bologna is here as well. And now they're chasing the Circuit. No, let the Circuit go. You are going down this right thing. Now Bologna dies as she's left alone on a 1v4. And I'm a Monster does come out. And that River's Rebuke will find that Poseidon. Circuit is back here, and she will be searching for that Scylla. Scylla's going to have to dash in. Now Jack is also looking low.
And that is a double kill with the Crush.
Spooky is going to pick up two. And now Jack is on the retreat. And Jing Chen will have to bring out. Spooky is showing that you don't let him have Scylla. He gets the double kill and he follows that up with a delayed triple kill. That is for sure. Jing Wei will basically make sure that Circuit does not exist. And now it's just Poseidon. It's just Poseidon. And what started off as a great fight for Janitors ended up in a decisive defeat for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just weren't able to finish out those kills. You know, they got a little bit of low health bars, but they were able to bounce back because of that Yamoja and her healing. So I think that Poseidon just isn't able to defend at this point, and that's going to be a game 3 in the first set.
You're definitely going to be going to the game 3.
I love to see game 3s. They're always just very exciting. You know, you both got a feeling for each other, your play style, how you're going to try to end the game, and I think that that's just great going into a game 3. Get to really kind of see what the other team has. And that is a 40-minute game. That is quite a long time.
Both games have been relatively long. First game was about 36, 35, as both teams kind of waited a little bit to try to get in the momentum. And so, honestly, star of the show here, Jack, on this Jing Wei, was able to secure 1v1 fights against Sigmund, was able to basically run the floor with this Jing Wei, was able to melt everybody at the end there, because that's just how Jing Wei is. But that's not to discount the rest of the team in Spooky Mars and Sanity here, because Spooky Mars able to turn that fight at the end there absolutely monstrous. No pun intended, to ensure that they stayed in that lead.
Yeah, and I mean, Consanity definitely an unsung hero in that game, you know? I mean, 6 and 5, not the greatest of stat lines, but look at that mitigated. 56,000 damage mitigated. That's insane, you know? 34,000 player damage. She was up in people's faces. She was taking that damage, allowing the Jingwei and the Scylla to free cast, and she was able to do it well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that the ability for Kansanity to actually keep up 1v4s and not necessarily win them all the way, but to keep them from falling to the wayside was everything. Was absolutely everything in these fights to ensure that the backliners and Jack and Spooky were able to stay alive and choose their targets with enough time to really kind of ensure that the target they wanted to go with was the right target. And this is kind of what we were talking about in game one that we really wanted to see them fix in this game too, which was target priority. And I think that they fixed that really well in this game.
Definitely. I mean, they certainly kind of focused down that one target in a team fight, and they were able to turn those fights, when it's a 4-on-5, you can put out a lot more damage even if you have the lower health bars, and you're able to just win fights based off that. What do you think Janitors needs to change now, looking into this game 3, in order to claim a victory here?
Izanami. I think Izanami needs to go. We need Wards show that they're comfortable playing around in Izanami now that they played against it the game one. And even game one, it wasn't necessarily the best. It wasn't bad. But now game two, a 3-7-2 stat line is not what you want to see out of your carry.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely think the Izanami isn't a great pick here, as well as the Surquette. The Surquette really wasn't able to get those assassinations in this game like the Nemesis was. Nemesis was able to do a lot more in that first game, and Surquette just didn't quite have enough to secure those kills.
Yeah, because unless you're going to rob Jack of that Jingwei, because clearly he was showing that he can 1v1 in Izanami, and he has no insecurities about doing so. And so you need your carry to be there for those fights. The kill participation. Izanami was 5 out of the 21 kills. Meanwhile, Jingwei is sitting there at 19 out of 31. So that's a big difference there. And I think you're right, too. Like, the jungle as well, not really participating too much in kills, but participating quite a bit in those deaths. So that's just really unfortunate. I don't know if Surquette's the right pick because, again, if you're used to playing something like a Nemesis has a little bit more survivability, able to sustain herself in the middle of a fight. Surquette, without that proper backup, really can't do much. Now, I do want to see this Jing and Poseidon again because I think they were able to make a lot work. Those ultimate combos were on point.
Absolutely. I just think that one of the big things in that game was that Amaterasu wasn't getting beads in order to make that combo work. She wasn't able to burn those beads with the dazzling offensive in order to make that just guaranteed kill on the Kraken whirlwind of rage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... So I do think that, like, where it really came into was the ADC diff was pretty strong. The Poseidon wasn't a bad pick, but that ADC diff, in terms of the Izzy versus Jingwei, that's not a fun matchup for Izzy. It's just not a fun matchup, and because eventually you just lose out on that power scaling really, really hard. And Jing's just able to carry through really, really far. And so I would prefer to see something that's still aggressive. If you really want to play that aggressive ADC, that's fine. You can play like an Uller if you know how to play Uller. You can play a Cupid who's pretty aggressive. But you gotta put something that can at least shut down the Jingwei if you're gonna let him have the Jingwei. Like, that's now we're gonna get into a tricky situation for the bans, because also, do you want to ban that Yamoja? Sure, Taboo wasn't able to like make full utilization out of those ultimates, but when the ultimate did connect, that thing was impactful.
I mean, I definitely think they need to ban out the Jingwei. The Jingwei was incredibly strong. He's used it both games. And I mean, it's just a great late game hyper carry. She's slippery enough in that early game to get into that late game relatively unscathed unless you're gonna put a ton of resources into ganking her early. So I mean, they either need to play around that and really just hard focus her, get those mid and jungle rotations into that duo lane early.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
just ban her out.
or just ban her out, or just get get an ADC that can at least just maintain the lane with them. Maybe a Rom. Like a Rom will be able to at least maintain that kind of stalemate. You know, nothing great. I don't think you win trades as Rom with Jingwei, because Jingwei can disrupt a lot of what you're trying to do. So it really comes down to mechanical skill. Really, is what makes the difference between those two, between who wins those. But at least it's not a disfavored matchup.
I mean, I do like the ROM as well, you know? It helps set up for those ganks better because he does have the cripple on the astral arrows. So she's not going to be able to dash away from the jungler. And you can really get into some sticky situations there.
So we'll definitely see what they do with their bans, because again, Janitors has a lot of choices to ban here because both Scylla and Jingwei being very impactful in that game. Humbot's not being anything to scoff at. Yamoja not being anything to scoff at. They do ban out that Yamoja first things first.
And that's definitely a worthwhile ban. I mean, even if she wasn't utilized to her full potential in that game, I mean, she's just a very strong god. And you just can't overlook her. That ultimate is just too good at zoning and team fighting. And we do see the Jingwei ban as well.
So getting rid of Taboo and Jack's first, well, their picks, and then Nemesis gets banned. So we know we won't see that on the side of Janitors again in this set.
Now here, I'm not quite sure what they're going to go for a third ban. I mean, you still have a huge threat in Persephone open, unless you're going to go play her. And I could see that happening here. They do ban out the Bellona. Not looking to play it this game, or let Kunzanity play it, which is definitely a reasonable response. And we do see the Persephone ban. Forcing We Need Wards to ban out those high priority gods because they have the first pick, and they're able to change their bans there.
Yeah, at that point, you played a mind game right back and don't ban out any of the meta gods because you're second pick and you get 2. That's that high tier draft stuff right there. You basically say, hey, you're not banning out meta gods? All right, I'm not going to ban out any either. You want the Persephone or you want the Cthulhu? Because I'll take either one.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to force those bans out, you know? They're going to make We Need Wards say, no, we're not playing against the Cthulhu. We're not playing against a Persephone. And they're going to leave a relatively open roster. And we see the Freya. I mean, she did just get nerfed today on the bonus patch.
She did, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to kind of slow her down. In fact, it was her slow that got nerfed. For those of you who hadn't seen the bonus patch, she did get her slow reverted, essentially. Now it's not 25% at all rank slow. It's a scaling slow from 15 to 25%. Now, what also makes her slightly weaker is that they also targeted the Ring of Hecate here. And they took away 5% attack speed, so it's from 30 to 25%, and magical lifesteals from 20 to 15% on that nerf. So we might not see it good. Now, Thor does get picked up, something that Janitors has been pretty consistent in banning here.
Yeah, I mean, Thor, very strong. I mean, he's not at the top of the meta anymore. He was, what, 2 patches ago?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's definitely something that gets picked up every once in a while still in the SPL. Like, Solo Troll likes playing it in solo lane. It's actually a pretty good solo lane, but also what you get out of Thor's F. It's one of those gods that until you know somebody can play them, it's not worthy of a ban. Like, a bad Thor doesn't matter how good Thor is, a bad Thor won't carry a game.
Yeah, but
You
I do
need to
think
know
that,
they're good.
He's definitely going to be competent on that. I think they did their research and looking at the past season's game and seeing that Limey is able to use that Thor pretty well. And they're going to pick up the Scylla for themselves, as well as the Sun Wukong. You know, one of the best solo laners at this point. Sun Wukong is just amazing as a warrior, along with the Freya. So they're looking at a pretty strong team at this point.
They do pick up the Khepri, and now what they need to look for is does Janitors play Thanatos? Do they play Ao Kuang? Because both of those really mess with Khepri's utility and his ultimate. But Khepri, a really nice pickup here for Thor and Hu Yi for sure. because you want Thor and Hui to be alive, and Thor can also dive a little bit more reliably when you have a Khepri ultimate to save you.
We see a Daji ban. I mean, I don't know if she's that great into your team. I mean, Hui has the jump to kind of get away from her burst damage. Thor can just hammer out. You have the escapes to kind of shut down Daji. You just need to kind of sit in people's faces as Daji, and they already have a team comp that doesn't really fall to that too hard. So that's a interesting ban in my opinion.
Definitely one I didn't expect.
That artillery mage again. Not gonna let them get that huge long range poke. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a Agni ban as well, banning out another artillery mage, opting for the Merlin instead.
Maybe knowing that Spooky is maybe not as comfortable on an Agni as a Merlin, so we'll see. Like, that's one of those when teams do their research really in depth. You want to know exactly what you're running up against. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean they're both very good mid laners. I want to say he's experienced in both, so certainly a matter of preference there. I mean, if Janitors is expecting a hard game where they're sieging on objectives and structures for a long time, Merlin is definitely the call to ban. He's just so good on that defense.
Yeah, now I was gonna point this out and I completely forgot, but they did let Amma through. So Amma's gonna get picked up. Now, Hercules, Vaman, Sun Wukong. Alrighty then. We got 3 warriors on a team. So I assume one is going into jungle, one is gonna be support, probably Hercules, and Sun Wukong probably going into solo lane and Vaman jungle.
I mean, Vamana and Sun Wukong could go either way, in my opinion. I'd love to see a Sun Wukong jungle. I mean, those 72 transformations are just so strong. That Tiger just does so much damage in that early game.
Now, this is interesting. This is an interesting draft because I'm just kind of like processing it in my head that what they do get on the side here of Janitors is they get 3 really good early game guys. Hercules, Vaman, Sun Wukong, they're no slouches in the early game. And then they have 2 really heavy late game gods, Freya and Scylla. So Red has to choose which game do they want to play into really fast. Like, we need Wars needs to choose, hey, do we really want to play the early game or do we want to play the late game? Because with their comp, they can play either way.
That is going to be a Hercules jungle, I believe. I believe no, Vamana. Okay, last second switch there. And I mean that's definitely a good point. They have that nice early game with the warriors, as well as the good late game from the 2 mages. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. I mean, 3 warriors is also very strong. You have that good base protection and base health pool in that late game to be able to peel and tank for that back line. Let that Freya and Scylla just kind of free cast.
Now, what I am afraid is during this late game, where they kind of really fall off, is that all 3 of those warriors die to Ankh. Cursed Ankh ruins them. Like, yeah, Hercules can't use mitigate wounds, Vaman isn't getting his Colossal Fury, Sun Wukong isn't getting everything he needs out of the Somersault Cloud.
Freya, too. I mean, Freya relies heavily on that lifesteal, with it being a harder passive as well, I believe. Does buff.
Yeah, it's part of her passive, yes. Her passive is really hard to pronounce. Brisagamin's Blessing.
That's an interesting one there. That's for certain.
It's
Norse pronunciations.
Yeah, I'm not Norse, so if I ruined that for people who have Norse ancestry, sorry, but also not sorry. Make it an easier language.
Take out some of those extra letters. Come on, I know there's plenty of them.
But I mean, definitely like here where you're trying to leverage as we need wards is trying to target what part of the game are you playing for, and then lean into that as heavily as you can. Don't like let up. Don't let it be like, okay, whatever. No, you need to basically say, we are playing that early game. Okay, we're going to run it through and through. Or if they're playing the late game, then they need to stall them out.
in my opinion, I think Wards needs to really focus on that early game. Make sure that Freya can't come online. She doesn't have an escape. You have the Thor. He has the mobility. He has the stun. He has the semi-global ultimate. I think they really just need to focus down that duo lane and make sure she can't come online so they can kind of take advantage of the 3 warriors and not have them do anything in the late game.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing that they can really work on here is they can also just play the mid game. Because after level 5, like you said, Thor can go wherever he wants. They could probably have a lifesteal or anti-healing item online, 1 or 2, 3 maybe. And then they can dive whoever they want. Amma can dive whoever she wants. Agony can bomb whoever he wants. And just in case they feel a little bit shaky on that dive, Khepri has his ultimate. So there is no interruption on the side of Janitors to stop a Khepri ultimate from going all the way through. The only thing they can do is do spacing. Like Hercules can try to driving strike Khepri away. 72 transformations can stun him at the right moment, those types of things, or even use the knockup on the Ox form. But again, if you are we need wards, then what you're really looking for is to choose which part of the game you really want to take the most advantage of. Now, early game, I think they'll have the harshest time, mainly because you're going to have the issue of the healing on the side of Janitors unless they can burst down really, really fast.
Looks like we do have a quick re-lobby. It's possible that somebody maybe didn't get their trade off in time, or somebody used a banned skin, something of that effect. So we should be getting a regame shortly. Should be the same picks and bans.
They're probably not even going to ban you. You can just go straight into picks at this point. Let's go straight in. Don't worry. Now you got to stay on that warrior grind.
Yeah, and it looks like they were not able to trade out their gods, so they'll just be blind picking those shortly. Should be able to get back into the game nice and quickly. I'm going to be back in just a moment.
But who knows? Maybe here we have Janitors changing the meta for the rest of the league here. Maybe the rest of the league is going to start picking up that 4-man, 5-man warrior meta. We're going to have a multi-warrior meta.
Sorry about that. I wasn't quite expecting a 3-hour set. Had to take just a small break.
It's no worries at all.
I mean, I, for one, am a big fan of the 3 warrior meta. I mean, it's something that me and my team ran quite a few times in the first season.
I mean, the strength of a 3 warrior meta is in the sense that your opponent doesn't expect a 3 warrior comp. So it's really hard to know how and when to play against a 3 warrior comp. Like where you're supposed to find your openings and how you find your openings is really, really important.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know if they necessarily chose the best warriors for it. I mean, generally you want to get some with a little bit of protection shred, but I mean, there's still 3 very strong warriors in their own regards. Definitely have the survivability with their healing.
Yeah, they need that. They need that Guan Yu. There you go. Protection shreds for days. Talao assault.
Yeah, as well as Horus, I believe, has protection shreds.
Mm-hmm.
As well as Nike.
I just want Guan Yu. That's all I want.
Don't worry.
That's
all I can say.
Don't worry. Hey, look. Now you can tell me, since you're saying don't worry, you can tell me if there's an ADC you want. Maybe I can tell you don't worry.
You know, I love to see really dumb stuff in the ADC role. Like I like Tobias's idea of just Loki everywhere. Loki ADC.
I'm gonna go
Loki
Zeus
support.
ADC when that new buff comes out. Whereas the attack speed gets up, it's gonna be like 0.87 instead of 0.76. Zeus meta incoming.
Who would ever play weird stuff
Zeus
in the
is just
ADC role?
fun
That's just rude.
to run attack speed on. He just looks kind of dumb. Not as dumb as like Guardians or Warriors when you put them at max attack speed, because a lot of them just don't ever have it and they just look kind of dumb. Like Chalk swinging around a big old axe.
Yeah, definitely. One of the. I think my favorite person with max attack speed though is Humbots because it looks like he's having a seizure backflipping so much.
Yeah, that's also another great one. I mean, unconventional things work pretty well, you know? Things that people don't really know how to counterplay against.
Yeah, exactly. That's how the Thor solo started off. I mean, yeah, he's good in solo, but people also don't want him to be in solo. Now we do see some aggression here onto the Bilbo, on the Scylla. Now he is taking tick damage from Agni's passive, but don't worry, Sun Wukong is gonna go ahead and drop that Amaterasu over there.
And that's a very close kill, you know, he was in that red health. That's going to be a counter kill.
On that Vamon gank really did come in clutch there. And now, if I'm in this left lane, I'm saying, maybe we should back out. Maybe we should back out. We just lost kills in both the mid and the solo lane. I'm not feeling too comfortable in this left lane. Vamon is definitely looking over here.
Yeah, and I mean, he's coming for it. He's looking to catch that Capri out. He gets the
Dun
knock
comes
up.
clear the path. Off goes the boomerang, and now they're gonna have to make a full retreat here.
Yeah, that is one thing about the Hou Yi, you know, he does have that jump. It's very safe. It's a great escape ability in that regard.
Yeah, it gives him time to choose where he goes, or he could also take people by surprise by immediately going up and down. So it's really hard to play against because you're just like, is he gonna stay up there? Where should I position myself? And you know, it's just a lot.
Is he jumping over the wall? Is he jumping straight back towards tower?
Now the eagle will come out as Amaterasu is able to put down some pain onto Sun Wukong. So she knows that he doesn't have 72 transformations. So I don't, you know, now he probably has it back up, but he's playing a little bit passively here. Not as confident on Ama as he was on the Bologna, that is for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's hard to just run back at a Sun Wukong that just solo killed you a second ago. So I mean, he does have just a little bit of an XP and gold lead there. She does have the health on him, but I mean, he does a lot of damage compared to an Amaterasu.
That is for sure. And Sun Wukong was able to secure that totem in return of that Ama kind of relieving that pressure, just letting him do what he wants. Now, Sun Wukong hoping he's hitting level 5, but now she's fighting in the wave. She definitely does not win this.
No, I mean, it was a very close fight, but like you said, she just fought into that wave. You know, those minions are just going to be able to put out that extra damage in order to turn that fight. And he's going to go back, either get full boots or a full sledge, and he opts for the sledge. More defensive option, you know, be able to box that Amma even better. A little bit, what is it, same power? 40 and 40?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's just going to start pushing that wave under tower. He's going to go secure that next totem, because Thor is just going to leave. He's not looking to fight a level 5 Sun Wukong, and I can't blame him there.
No, I can't, especially if you don't have any anti-heal, any type of like actual burst yet. Like you're still just Thor at level 5. Like sure you have your ultimate now. That ricochet does not connect, and damage mitigate will come through. Mitigate wounds. I apologize. Now Thor and Vamon looking to come in. Now Thor will go into the skies and land nowhere. So not really going to find anything there. Banish onto the Thor is going to stop his aggression too. And now Kepri has no mana to really get away. And that's just a gank gone wrong. Speaking of a gank gone wrong, this Vamon is not looking too healthy. He dive bombs in.
He has the ult though.
He has the Colossal Fury, and there is no cursed up first relic. And I'm going to be real with you. I feel like that is going to be a difference maker. They cannot win the early game without a cursed onk.
I mean, it's very hard to get that cursed onk first item. Not first item, first relic. I mean, Shell is just such a more versatile relic in that spot. You know, it's always going to be useful.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you. 9 out of 10 times, Shell over cursed onk. This is that 1 out of 10. This is like that doctor recommends type stuff from Colgate. Like I'm telling you, you can't, like you have 4 super healing guys in this on this team call in the side of Janitors. You're not gonna get that anti-heal early on enough. So you need that cursed onk. Somewhere you need that cursed onk. Because Vamon literally was at 10 health in the beginning of that, like towards the end of that game. And then at the end of the team fight, he was already at full basically. Like, he could go wherever he wants after that. Sledge does get picked up here already on the side of this Sun Wukong. So he's definitely also going to be a lot more survivable. He forgoes the boots, but that's okay. He does have the bird. The bird will always get him out of trouble.
Yep, he's got the bird. He's got the tiger for the initiate. I mean, he still has that movement to get around there. He has the slow as well.
Now, Vamon is getting caught out here in the jungle. He went for a cheeky invade. 3 men collapse on him, but again, look at this.
Yeah.
Cursed onk, man. Diff. Cursed onk diff. You need somebody to have cursed onk. You just need 4 healers. You need that cursed onk. Just saying. Because, I mean, you just can't win any of these fights. Because mitigate wounds gonna bring that Hercules up. Now that Vamon's gonna go ahead and clear the path. Look, Hercules.
150 health. And he's
back chill out. I'm a monster comes out twice. Don't worry. Comes excavate. Crush will finish the deal. The real Bilbo will get 2.
Kid Slim getting a little greedy there. Trying to be a little cheeky and get that 2 HP back.
But that's the difference maker right there. There's no real, like, you just can't take fights then. Like, I get it. If you're not going to do Curse Onk, you just don't take fights. Who you's going to fall here to a nice blink into an armored umbrella. And that he's going to go down. And I mean, like I was saying, you can't take any fights. The real Bilbo picks up a 3rd kill onto this Agni. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see if you're the Janitors. And the worst thing that you can possibly see if you're We Need Wards.
Absolutely. I mean, you have 3 kills on that Scylla. She's already getting into that mid game at this point. Only 8 minutes into the game. The Freya has the Ring of Hecate up, so she's going to be able to box that Hoyi pretty easily at this point.
And this Amma literally can't stay in lane for longer than maybe 2 seconds before Sun Wukong's like, yo, here's my cudgel. I'm going to hit you from the other side of this divide right here. And I don't care. I don't care what you're doing.
Looks like he's going to try to sneak and steal this blue buff.
This blue buff doesn't belong to him. In fact, his life probably doesn't belong to him. I mean, I'm just saying. They can do whatever they want. Now, Vamon here in a rough spot, but gonna go into Colossal Fury, and he's just gonna say, hey, look, I'm just gonna take this Khepri instead then, like, whatever. Scylla will get the kill, and now you have a 4-0 Scylla, level 10, on top of this Agni's level 8. That is not
She's going the Book of Thoth. That's a very interesting build there, you know. I mean, she's looking to get that maximum late game damage, you know. She says, there's 3 warriors on my team. I need to be able to do insane damage late game in order to make up for that. And she's building accordingly.
And I mean, like, like when you're ahead, you can get a Book of Thoth. You're ahead, but dude, you got 4 kills. What's the Agni gonna do? Stop you from farming lane? No, like, you're gonna do what you want. You're gonna get those stacks.
Getting some damage on the Hercules, but he's got mitigate wounds. He doesn't care.
He does not care. And at this point,
gonna Thor ult him? He doesn't care. You're not going in. Yeah.
And
he ain't going nowhere.
And that's just a waste of a Thor ult right there. You got to be looking for that Freya at this point. Like, Freya, you know, is alone. Does not have Hercules. Hercules is in mid. Vamon's in mid. You know, you got to be thinking, okay, who's the easiest person I can kill? It's going to be that Freya. He's going to land down, do 100 damage, plus 90% of what he has. There's a stun there, and now you're just whacking. You're whacking with arc damage, and then she tries to run away. You stun. You follow it with the stun from the Fisher. Then, if that's not it, if that's not enough, Mjolnir that sucker.
Yeah, I mean, you organize with that Hoyi, you know? He has the massive slow. He's got the stun from the ricochet. If you can get that initiate, you can kind of convert that.
Now, Amma does trade her life for the Hercules. And that's like almost a W, but you gave the kill to the Scylla, man. You gave the kill to the Scylla. Scylla's just gonna...
That's a solo for a support.
Yeah, that's just not... It's not what you... I mean, I respect it. I respect what Consanity was looking for and how he was like, okay, I'm not going to do anything in the solo lane. Let me rotate out. And I respect that. But at the same time, now you're giving that Scylla that XP that she wants, the gold that she needs.
Those extra 5 stacks on Thoth.
Yeah, the extra 5 stacks on Thoth. Now you're just... You got to be terrified. And so... Go ahead.
Oh, and this Freya is just becoming a monster in this lane, being able to free farm, you know? She's looking for that late game. She's not getting ganked. She's getting ganks from the Vamana to help put her just a little bit ahead. Even not ahead, but just getting the Hoyi behind.
And this is definitely something that I talk about a lot when I'm coaching like junglers and stuff like that, is that you got to be aware of where your best ganks are. And for this store, best gank you could possibly have is on that Freya or maybe the Sun Wukong if his ultimate is down. But now, this Freya is a free kill. If this store rotates here and ults this Freya, that is a free kill. She has no ultimate, no beads, free kill Freya.
Yeah, and he just has to notice that and be aware of that. He has to say, Freya doesn't have a dash. The most she can do is lift me. That's it. And if you have that Hoyi backing you up, you know, you just don't group exactly on top of each other, and she can only CC one of you.
Exactly, and not only that, like, again, you're not going to win this 3v3 in mid. It's not even a 3v3. Vamon doesn't have to be there. Now you're just splitting wave in this 3. And, like, look, I know I'm being, like, super, like, critical. I'm being real. Jungle's the hardest role you can possibly play. But
I like to think so, too, being a jungler myself.
And so I'm not going to...
I do crazy stuff.
And I am not going to just, like, hound on him and be like he's a bad player. It's just really hard sometimes, especially when you are getting behind. You only have 1 kill on your team. At this point, the best thing you can do is take like a mental break, kind of breathe and say, okay, where am I going and why am I going there? Now this Hui has to drop ultimate in response to this Freya's aggression. Will dive bomb away. Thor is finally here, looks for some damage, does not get enough to kill. Valkyrie's discretion will come out in response, though. She is a little afraid. Capri's going to blink in and grab him, but Clear the Path is going to knock him away. And don't worry, Hercules is here. He is going to try to Earthbreaker him to him, but doesn't get it.
And that was just great awareness on the Vamana's part there. Seeing the Thor that was heading over there, and he took the initiative and said, no, I'm saving this Freya. He said, no, you get to continue farming. You don't need to die.
Now, Hercules does take an aggressive, very super aggressive, like, pathing here, but doesn't get punished nearly enough. In fact, he's going to put the punish back onto this Capri, and he's going to get away from that. Full health, almost full health. Curse Donk, man. Curse Donk makes all the difference.
I mean, they do already have the double anti-heal. I'd love to see a third item Pestilence on the Capri.
Now we're looking at a 3-man aggression on... Capri does not get that dash out in time. Vamon's just going to run through this tower. And this tower is gone. This tower belongs to Janitors. They do get the kill here on the Agony. And now Thor has no mana. Like, he's in a bad situation. Now it's a double kill for the real Bilbo. And he basically said, I saw you had a good Scylla game. I'm going to one-up that.
Definitely. I mean, he's certainly saying, you can play Scylla, I can play Scylla. Let's see who's going to force that ban next set.
Vamon is looking for a kill. Valkyrie's discretion does come out online. Hercules looking for the Earthbreaker, does force the beads in response. And I mean, Vamon literally walked into this with less than 50% health, less than a quarter mana, and was like, hey, at the very least, I'm going to scare this Hui. And what does he do? He scares the ult out of the Hui.
Yeah, gets the ult, gets the beads. And as a jungler, you don't have to get kills to be effective. If you can force them to use their resources to give their laning counterpart an advantage, that's enough.
Now,
you don't have to have 10 kills.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. I completely agree with you. It's not about kills. Backing is wins. But I do want to say, that Amma rotation, that's knew the Valkyrie discretion was down, was like, hey, look, I'm going to go in there, dazzling offensive, I'm going to force out the beads, but at the very least I can put down some damage. Now they made a nice Gold Fury call, knowing that they forced out the ADC, and they forced out the support. Scylla kind of hovering around the XP camp, but doesn't really, I don't know if she completely knows they're doing it. A little bit too late. The Gold Fury will go in the sense of we need wards, and that is perfect. That is great calls. Absolutely perfect call. We need wards. If you watch this back, whoever made that call, great. Perfect call.
Yeah, they got their pressure on that side of the map, and they recognized that they had enough presence there to get that objective. And that's just what you want to see. You know, you want to be able to get that golden XP.
Yeah, and I mean they are only 4K gold down at this point in the game. It is a little bit significant, but it's not disastrous. It's something you can come up from. Now, this Vamon does go aggressive. I assume I'm going to see a Colossal Fury if they choose to go completely in on this. But he did take a little bit too much more damage than I think even he expected. And he was just kind of like, you know, maybe this wasn't the best of ideas here.
It looks like they might get the Pyro in return to that Gold Fury. Not quite as good of a pickup, but still relevant.
Definitely does put some information, does put some pressure on we need wards though, because now if you're Janitors, you can start looking at this gold. I mean, at this Fire Giant.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what's going on in this this duo lane. I mean, the Freya is very low. Hoyi hasn't been touched, and I think that might be a kill over there. No, and she has the lifesteal, and she's going to take it.
Oh!
At the red health, able to just barely squeeze out that kill.
Freya broke. As an ADC main, please nerf Freya more.
But no, I mean, like, in all seriousness, that's the power of Freya. Her blessing from, I'm not going to pronounce his name, as her passive, lets her just take those 1v1s, and her dual capability is so high, especially with the Ring of Hecate. Like, she can just basically do whoever she wants. Oh, I'm at a quarter health? No, you're at a quarter health. I'm at
one
full
thing I am
health.
seeing there is that she didn't opt for the Typhon's Fang, so she doesn't have that lifesteal, and she's not able to box quite as efficiently. You know, those are generally the two core items on her.
And I like that. I like that call. Now they do pick up the Sun Wukong before he can go into the clouds. The clouds, not clowns. And that's a good pickup for them right here. Now they can look a little bit more at this fire giant as we need wards. They can kind of say, hey, you know, at least they're not gonna get it. But to kind of go back to what you were saying, I mean, I love that call to not build full lifesteal on Freya, because we need wards is gonna build anti-heal. If they're not building anti-heal pretty much almost across the board, or at least enough of it to matter, then it's not a good look, right? And if they do get this Curse Donk onto Khepri, which I hope they do, it's not a good. It's also not a good look if they don't pick up that Curse Donk. But assuming they do pick up the Curse Donk and they pick up some more anti-heal, Freya with lifesteal is not that good. Freya with a bunch of power, super good, because you get to still basically kill other squishies.
Yeah, I mean, just the one thing is it's limiting her in that that laning against that Ho Yi. She's not really able to box him too well with that lifesteal. She just kind of takes poke and she can't just immediately heal it like she normally can.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Thor in a bad spot, has to pop Aegis and has to pop Beads, is going to hammer his way out. That's just unfortunate. Now, if I'm Hu Yi, I'm saying, I shouldn't be here anymore, and that's what he's doing. He's saying, maybe I shouldn't be here. He's going to go ahead and dive bomb out, but Scylla will pick up the Thor anyway. Hercules still looking at this agony. Scylla's coming on the backside here, and now it's a 4-man rotation that's going to come in onto this Hu Yi, and Hu Yi is going to go down.
And that's going to be a tier 1 tower on that left, I hope. No, it looks like they are going to back off of that. Freya's just going to slowly push those minions up.
So now Spooky Mars in a bad position here. I don't know if he has a way out, because yeah, sure, even if he dies here, he's going straight back into this Khepri, and he does die after Scarab Blessing wears off. So now it's just Khepri in a bad position. And I guess we need wards is coming in one-on-one, trying to get now the Scylla, but Scylla's going to Sentinel away, and the Earthbreaker is going to stop that Khepri from getting there, but Amma will pick up this kill. Freya will get that tier 2 in left, and that's just unfortunate right there. Thor is going to ultimate his way into this. Hercules looking for a kill, but had already thrown out his hammer, so Hercules is going to use Mitigate Wounds, and I assume that he's going to use Driving Strike here pretty soon. He's going to Driving Strike the Khepri here into the wall, and there's 3 of them on him, and he's still not dead. He is level 15. Like, it's not even like he's a high level.
It's got Mitigate Wounds. He's getting massive healing from taking all that damage while he's has that 3 procced. Freya forced it back again because she doesn't have that second lifesteal item. I mean, this is Janitor's game at the moment.
Yeah, it's their game to lose and win.
They need to just kind of focus up just a little bit more. Push more around those objectives rather than those fights.
Yeah, at this point, if we need wards, I'm saying we are taking this gold. Like, I don't care if they all rotate here. We are taking this gold because we have the DPS. I don't care how many ults we have to drop. Now, you're looking to drop an ult now before he can intercept. Now, we need wards does secure the primal here. And now, down he goes. The Vaman, the big baby, is going to go to sleep in the fountain. And Khepri, thank you. You did pick up the Curse Donk. You didn't have to use it, but you picked it up. And I'm proud of you. You're wise beyond your years.
Now all he needs to do is upgrade that, and the Vamana dies every time he dives.
Now he did pop it there. He is looking for a little bit of damage, but now the Hercules is going to make sure that dies. But don't worry, Thor came down with a vengeance, but he's going to have to go back He's looking for something, but don't worry, Ama also rotates in, tries to find Sigmund here, and the backline does find Sigmund, and that's a big pickup here for We Need Wars. They want to stop this Freya. Now they're pulling the Scylla back. They're looking for the Scylla, connects with the Scylla as well. Amaterasu here is basically saying, I'll handle this myself. Taking on 2 here. Now Sun Wukong rotates back in, does get pinned down, shell is popped. And that was just a really good rotation out of that Amaterasu, picking out the 2 carries right then and there, saying, hey, you're not safe. I'm still in the game. I'm level 19 now. Oh, I'm level 20. All that time Sun Wukong's been rotating, I've been farming. I've been farming your lane. I've been farming everybody's lane. And that's what you want to see out of your solo lane.
Yeah, I mean, we see the Frostbound pickup on the Amaterasu as well, making sure that she can stick to those carries, you know? She's not going to let them get away. She's got the speed boost, she's got the dash, and she's got the Frostbound. There's nowhere you're going if she's got her eyes set on you, unless you're going to be able to kill her.
Yeah, and that's just really, really good rotation from Amaterasu. They also have no wards on that side of the jungle, so Amaterasu was able to do it, just like you said, without them being able to see her.
And I think at this point, we're just seeing better grouping from We Need Wards, and that's why they're able to win these fights and get those picks, even from behind.
And that's just really that's really what they need to do. They need to get the picks. They need to stall out the game, because at this point, they can only win the late game. They can only win the late game, and now they are facing 2 hyper carries, but if they can keep, at this point, Vaman, Hercules, and Sun Wukong are really dropping off in their value. So Thor is going to be able to more reliably find that back line with his Anvil of Dawn, and Hu Yi is going to be a little bit safer, and Khepri's going to be able to pull out people. So that's what you're looking for, that Amaterasu going straight into the back line, saying, hey, you guys are not going to be as powerful as me. Because Ama is better than all 3 of those warriors in terms of her ability to, like, go into a team fight like that. Now, Khepri does pluck this Freya, is able to pin him down. Now comes the rain fire from this Agni, does get a huge amount of damage out of his flame wave, but Sigmund's barely alive. But there goes again this Amaterasu, basically saying the backline is not alive, it's not safe. I am here to destroy you. And so Agni does a good job of peeling away the Hercules and of Amon, does rain some fire, and now they're looking for a re-engage. Crush does not really connect. Thor is here doing some damage. Nice stuns. Down come the Suns, and Vaman able to pick up the Agni, but don't worry, Hu Yi is not going to pick up that Scylla, and Scylla's going to go back down the fountain. Earthbreaker connects onto the Amaterasu. Amaterasu says, bring me to you, I'm coming to you next. Vaman in the back line, now they're going to turn on him. Don't worry, Thor is going to teleport to his hammer, does wall himself out. Hu Yi trying to find something, but now Hercules is in their back line. I think at this point they turn back around. At this point, it's turned into basically a seesaw game on where the pressure is. And Kid Slim is going to do what every support should be doing, which is buying time. You know, respect to you. He's going to excavate, trying to find some damage. Just find some damage both onto the Khepri and onto the Thor. But here, Jack is going to keep on going. But now, Amaterasu is going to pick up another kill. 6, 3, and 2. Let's talk about Kinsanity on this Amaterasu.
I mean, he's just been doing incredible on it, you know? He's been weaseling his way into that backline to put heavy pressure on that Scylla and that Freya.
That's just super good on the rotation. Kinsanity knows exactly where to go, where to be, and how to basically make full use of her kit in order to bring We Need Wards back into this game. Now there's only a 3K, 4K-ish gold deficit, and we're getting to the point of the game where that's not even going to matter. At this point, it's going to come down to how well does each team play in those team fights. How well can they convert these objectives into win conditions?
Definitely. I mean, right now, We Need Wards looks really good into this matchup. I mean, they're behind, but they've been fighting better at this point. Freya going to this Gold Fury, that is not a call you want to make. They see you're there.
Does not connect with the walls, but Glorious Charge will silence her out, and they're going to just go ahead and zone her completely out as they secure the second Primal Fury for We Need Wards, and that makes Fire Giant so much easier for them. And that's big. That's really big.
Definitely now. I think they just need to go ahead and pose for that Fire Giant. I mean, everybody knows that that's the next call that people have to make. You're not really going to get too much usefulness out of a whole lot else on the map, you know? You're not really going to be able to siege down towers too well without it. And if Janitors just keeps fighting into that We Need Wards team comp, you know, they're just not having a good time at it. We Need Wards is slowly picking off those members one by one.
And Hu Yi at this point is going to be hitting like a truck. Does pick up a fail knot. And so that thing, that 20% critical chance on top of the Rage here, on top of an Atalanta's bow, he does have a decent amount of percent pen because he's going to have 20 with those two weapons combined. And now he has that cooldown reduction that fail knot gives you. That means that his ultimate, when he brings it down, basically you just got to run because he's going to be hitting like a truck right after that. And Freya does pick up the Typhoon's Fang.
Such a underrated item in my opinion. I don't think enough people get it. Especially, you know, you have the Amaterasu, who's also an auto attack based god, you know. She's gonna get that crit chance from it. Which is something you don't think, you know? You don't think there's an Amaterasu that's going to crit me when she doesn't have a crit item.
Yeah. Heck, it surprises me when I'm on the team with the fail knot. Now, we do see a little bit of engagement here, but this is after Khepri had already popped Kurstonk. Valkyrie's Discretion is out in response to a very well-timed use of Dazzling Offensive. Down comes the Anvil of Dawn. We are looking for Sigmund here. Amaterasu picks up another kill. Sigmund at this point is scared of Amaterasu. Has to be, but Vaman is going to return the favor. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take out the door. Now the Amaterasu will go down as well. Hu Yi is gonna go ahead and pick up the Vaman. And so that was a good trade. Hu Yi's still alive, Freya dead. Like that's what you want to see. Sun Wukong and Vaman also dead. You know, you pull Fire Giant. Or you at least get Pyro.
Get the Pyro here. Not quite confident in the ability to take down that enhanced fire at this point.
Nice pull away to make sure that Scylla can't get that with the crush. Very well communicated. At this point, like I'm saying, I think that We Need Wards, you know, they took a little moment. They were like, hey, we got to communicate better. And I think you can see the product of that. They definitely seem to be communicating a lot better, a lot more succinctly on what they need to do as a team.
Definitely. I mean, I think their draft is working really well for them too, you know? Having that Thor be able to get into that back line along with the Amaterasu once the panic from the Thor ult is there, getting those backliners. I think that's really been helping them out in this game.
No, he does find that Sun Wukong with the Tectonic Rift and the Mjolnir's attunement, but I mean, it's Sun Wukong. He's just kind of like, okay. I mean, it's still he's shrugging it off.
You got me.
Hu Yi is gonna have to back here. He has to do something. I think he might as well just forfeit his life. I don't think he gets anything here. Yep, Scylla will get that kill, and that's just unfortunate. I don't know what else to say. Colossal Fury will come on to Spooky Mars. Spooky Mars will be next to go down. But don't worry, Anvil of Dawn is here, and Scare's Blessing prevents him from getting that. And the Cursed Ankh is popped, so this Vaman is going to be taking a bit of damage. But Spooky Mars, man, you need to go to base. Don't even drop any Rainfire. Just go to base. Like, they look at you funny, you die.
Absolutely, just one mean look could have killed him at that point. Less than 100 health, did not have a full little bar on that health bar.
Now, Sigmund did pop beads there, and that's really big here for We Need Wards, but they're going to go ahead and not pursue it any longer as they see Hercules is in the back line, and they're looking for Thor. Thor might be dead here, unless he can pull off the Mjolnir. No, he goes down to Hercules. And so Agni a little bit far up, going to have to dash away, does a good job of dashing away and beadsing the driving strike. Nice dazzling offensive, gets a 3-man stun. The girdle is popped, but there is nothing to really follow up on as everybody's a little bit too low to keep on fighting this. Sigmund's going to heal off of that camp. As you can see, now he's at full health.
And I mean, as much as you might not think it with those health bars, I think they can take the Fire Giant right here, right now. And I think that would be able to really turn the tide on this game, but they're not going to opt for it. They're a little worried about those low health bars, and I mean, Enhanced Fire is kind of scary. I mean, he's just a little bit purple. A little bit intimidating, you know.
Yeah, he's hulking out. He's hulking out. I mean, the other thing you got to worry about, though, is, you know, you still have Hu Yi. You still have Agni. Like, they can put out a lot of damage without necessarily being, like, super close to you. So you got to be careful on what you're pulling. Now, Agni, speaking of Agni, does end up getting a kill here onto the Sun Wukong. So that already lessens their ability to actually be able to do this Fire Giant. Now, they're going to trade Oni in return for this fire. As soon as that Oni goes down, that means you take that fire. You take that fire. You don't even hesitate. Thor
I mean,
just has
Scylla
some...
is there for the steal. You have to be very careful here. I mean, she has I'm a monster, you know?
I'm a monster is popped in response, and now they're all split up in what they're doing. And We Need Wards does secure it. Scylla is going to go down. Vamon is going to pop Colossal Fury, but Curse Donk is also popped. And now Amaterasu looking for this Freya, getting burnt down, but don't worry, Mantle popped. And Valkyrie's Discretion is going to have to come out and return, driving straight onto the Amaterasu to try to peel. Spooky Mars says, I'll take this one-on-one. Now it turns on a 3-on-1, and down goes Freya. Now it's just Hercules here. Hercules is going to go ahead and use Driving Strike to try to get away. But Amaterasu is saying, hey, how you doing? I'm going to let this Kepri start taking these shots, and I'm going to go ahead and proxy this wave. So now it's just you in this tower, Hercules. And Thor is here, going to use Mjolnir Entombment. Gonna pull that Hercules. Hercules gonna go down to the Amaterasu. And in the meantime, mid lane is basically seeing Agni taking down that Sun Wukong, and now they're looking for that Phoenix. And this is an end call if I've ever seen
That's
one.
15 seconds. You got time. You got time.
You
Go.
got time,
Only
but they're
Scylla.
looking for this tier 2. They're not communicating, and they might not be able to do it with 3. But if they had all 5, I think they could have. I will see. There is 10K on this, 9K, 8K. Now they did TP. That's a perfect TP to the ward. And here we go. The Suns will come down. Capri doing the best he can. Capri will go down to the Titan. Hu Yi will pick up the Scylla. And now it's just Vamon, and that is game.
An amazingly close game, and that just goes to show one fight wins the game. That's it. They got one clean fight, and they pushed and ended.
That was very well done on the side here of We Need Wards. They knew the objectives they had to take. They knew how to take them. They knew, and I was saying, what we were basically criticizing in that game 1, which was their lack of communication, their inability to kind of like focus on one call. They really fixed on that game 3. So props to them for being able to do that. And I just really want to talk about that impact that Amaterasu had on the entire game. Like, if there's anybody that deserves an MVP on the side of We Need Wards, Kansanity, props to you, man. Like, you found the early kills that your team needed.
Look at that damage on the Amaterasu. 24,000. What's the highest on Janitors? 25,000 with a Scylla. That's 1,000 difference. And it's an Amaterasu building tank. That's just incredible.
And that's really the difference with the Warrior comp, is that, like, we saw that Janitors were able to push that early game really, really hard. But as soon as that early game was over, it was We Need Wards all the way. We Need Wards could just do what they want at that point. Like, they basically ignored Vamon, they ignored Hercules, they ignored Sun Wukong and said, where's Freya? Where's Freya? We're finding him.
Where's that Freya? Where's that Scylla? Let me get him.
Let me get him. We don't care about everybody else because they're not doing damage. Like, look, they shut down Freya. Tell me a game that you're 36 minutes into and Freya has 14k damage.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't fight her in lane, and she just didn't do anything in those late game fights. She got focused too hard by the Amaterasu. They had the warriors, but they just did not peel well enough.
I mean, it's just, yeah, exactly. But the Warriors do not provide that. They just don't provide that type of peel that you need. Like, meanwhile, Kepri, just to talk about another member of their crew of We Need Wards, Kepri was like, yo, I'm going to pluck this dude. I'm going to pluck that dude. I'm going to root that dude. And so that was just really, really well done. Really, really, We Need Wards was able to shelter the storm and get past it and basically then drive the victory home. And that was whatever they talked about in between games or whoever coached them, like, that was great recuperation in terms of their team fighting capability. They were able to focus on what they at least they all focused on the same thing. They said, okay, we're taking Fire Giant. Okay, we're done with Fire Giant. We're going to take this. We're going to take the Freya. Oh, we're done with Freya. We're going to take the Hercules. And they were able to make those transitions very quickly and very effectively.
Definitely. It looks like we are going to get a post-game interview from the coach of We Need Wards. How's it going, Bojo?
Hello, it's going great.
Those are some great games. We were just talking about how much you must have talked in between those games to get them to kind of focus on different things and be able to catch those wins.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot to talk about. But yeah, first game they were sort of asleep. So, we sort of rallied the troops a little bit, give them a bit of a talking to. I thought game 2 was much more solid and the best game, I think, of the set for us. And then game 3 we got behind in the early game, but I think the guys really showed some heart and fought back really well.
Yeah, definitely. You guys weathered the storm great against that triple warrior comp. They fall off in those late game team fights, especially with those 3 healers with that upgraded cursed Ankh.
Yeah, that was a pick. I told Tabo he needs to be getting upgraded curse, and once that came online, it was coffins for them, we could say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. If you rewatch this cast, you'll hear me basically saying this first 10 minutes, this first like 12 levels is a cursed octave. Just a cursed octave. Like they like the Vaman was able to run through and basically do whatever he wants because Colossal Fury providing all that healing early on is kind of a thing that you can't really deal with. But no, you guys really were able to pull it through. So I do want to talk about, like, game 1 was really rough. Like, it was probably the least close out of all the matches, and Janitors was able to kind of just run it. So I know you said you did talk about a lot of things, but what do you think was like the main points that you brought to your team and was like, hey, you guys need to clean this up for game 2?
That's a tough one. There was a couple things. We we had some switches around for who's doing shot calling, and this is the first set back, so I expected there to be some chinks in the armor. But we switched the shot caller around today, so I knew that was an issue after game 1 because I was listening to comms, and then so I basically said we need to be more clear on what objectives we're doing and what's happening, because to me it just seemed like everybody on wards was very nervous, very jittery. Even listening to them, like, you could just tell that it didn't really seem like they were calm. So, we did a little bit of a breathing exercise. And then basically I just said we need to just calm down and play the game. And they just shaped up a lot better. I definitely thought we were the better team. I wasn't really impressed by them throughout the entire set, and I knew we definitely had it in the bag if we just played our game. I think I got our jungler Limey to be a bit more aggressive with his ganks, and I thought the Hun Bats really allowed him to do that a bit easier. He looked a bit more comfortable on it. And then yeah, just the guys really pulled through, and all of them really did an excellent job.
So, I did want to ask as well, like, what do you think was the tipping? Because game 3 was pretty close, like or at least it was close in the sense that it was dominant on two sides of the game. Like early game, it was very dominant towards Janitors. Like it was basically Janitors had it in the bag, and it was their game to lose. Then late game, it was we need wards, and it was their game in the bag. But what do you think was the tipping point between those two stages of the game in game
Well,
3?
the tipping point was they just refused to do an objective for some reason. That can be a lesson to everybody, really. If you're in a position where you're that far ahead, you need to be like objectives win games, not kills. And about 25 minutes of that game was playing arena around our red buff. So instead of doing Gold Fury or Fire Giant and forcing us to go in awkward positions, the game just teetered out and nothing really was forced. And because nothing was forced, the gold lead never really got that dire. And we kept getting a couple picks here and there, and the longer it went, just the more picks we were able to get. I mean, you're talking about, you know, like an Agni, a Hu Yi, and a Matarasu, very late game characters that really thrive. And as I mentioned, with the cursed Ankh that just counters Vamana and allows our backline to kill them faster. So I don't think there was a specific tipping point. It was just a gradual slope of, well, they're just not forcing their lead, and the longer the game goes on, just allowed us to get back into it.
Yeah. So I was also gonna ask, like, you guys were able to identify, like, the threat really early on, like in terms of team fights. Like, you guys basically singled out Sigmund pretty much every single fight. Anytime you could like single out Sigmund, and you did. And so that was very different from the early game where Sigmund was able to kind of solo farm there. So, who was the shot caller there? That was basically like, yeah, yo, Freya needs to go.
Which god was Sigmund?
Freya.
Oh, the Freya. Well, I definitely did mention that I wanted the Freya to be focused in the early game. So that was the game plan was essentially get the Freya behind early and don't let the Hercules walk in front of us for free. Unfortunately, that would have been totally fine, but just the early lead that they were able to get just caused everything to be harder. You know, when the game plan goes wrong, then it's really up to our shot caller, who is Tabo in this situation. And he did a good job of keeping the guys together. I wasn't really able to hear anything for that game 3 there, but I was very impressed by how well the guys were able to hold on and keep their cool and really show that we're the better team.
Yeah. So, last question for me. What are you guys thinking about moving forward? Like, where do you think that either you want to make improvements, or where do you think you're the most solid? Like, not because I don't want you to give away your secret tactics or anything like that. Just something you're willing to share about moving forward.
I mean, from my perspective and as the coach, there are so many things that can be improved on, and the fact that we're still able to win these sets just shows that we have the talent. And I think we're going to be, I mean, the guys are going to be grinding hard. We're going to be doing VOD reviews. I have a couple ideas in mind for drafts and god picks that we can work on, but the talent is clearly there, and considering we can still win these sets with so much still to improve on, I think it's only looking up for us.
All right. So, Ruler, do you have any other questions for Bojo here?
I mean, I think you covered just about everything I wanted to ask, so I think we're all set.
All right. So I think that'll do it for our interview. Thank you, Bojo, for joining us at the casting desk.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, so this is Lucio Horn at the casting desk. I was your chair one, your play-by-play, joined by the wonderful and amazing ruler of men. So, and have a great night. Good morning. Auf Wiedersehen, adios, however you want it.
Let's go. We need wars. Woo!